They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Good evening, social change warriors and justice seekers. Welcome to a special edition of our Friday Night Lies episodes, where we have been covering the case of Karen Reed, double homicide trial, and the justice for John O'Keefe. So we have been on that since January with Friday Night Lies, and we are continuing to speak on it and to advocate now for justice for John O'Keefe. So we will be, I'm just going to mute you, Julie. Welcome, Julie. Julie's joining me again tonight for our special edition of Sunday Special, Friday Night Lies. And we're going to take over where we left off on Friday night. Excuse me, I have a little hoarse from my 19-day traveling. I'm back in my Florida home now. So welcome again to everyone that follows our channel, Social Change Warriors, and are seeking justice for victims of homicide and their families, where their cases have not been solved. And we believe there was either issues with the police, sloppy police work, and or corruption. Possibly in some cases, we are proving corruption as we go and work with the families and continue to follow many of these cases through from beginning to end. So as you all know, I'm a retired, well, most of you know, those of you that are new, welcome. I'm a retired police officer from Wisconsin, from Madison, Wisconsin, and a social worker. My master's is in social work with an emphasis in domestic violence, homicide, and helping recovery for domestic violence victims. So we are glad to have you. You are always welcome here. We live stream on various Wednesdays, Thursdays, and every Friday, and sometimes our Sunday special when it's not football season. So welcome aboard, everyone. If you have any cases that you are interested in or that you are part of, it's your family member, it's a friend, and you want us to help you out with advocacy and awareness, please let me know. I'll put my email up in the chat box here tonight at some point, a couple times, and feel free to email me with any case information. And I'd be happy to help in any way that I can. And so will Julie and the rest of our social change warriors, friends and subscribers that have been joining us Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for almost a year. So we'll be having our year anniversary coming up in August, and I'll let you all know we're going to have a little bit of a celebration of advocacy. Also remembering all of the victims of homicide and the missing that we are standing for with their families. We'll have a brief remembrance of all of them with a slide with Google Slides, and we'll be talking about all of our various episodes. I'd love to have your comments, suggestions. Hope you can join us, and I'll make sure you know when that is. Welcome again to Julie, craziest person on earth, our resident Bostonian, who has been helping us with all things Boston and Massachusetts and continuing to keep us updated on everything to do with the cases that are happening in Massachusetts. Welcome, MCAT, our subscriber and part-time co-host. She joins us many nights on Friday Night Lies with her wit and her intelligence and her love of following true crime and advocacy for victims of crime. So welcome to everyone else that joins us tonight as well in our live. Shauna, Kathy, we have many that follow us. I appreciate all of you. You all mean a lot to me, and appreciate all the advocacy that you're willing to do. Hey, Kathy, there she is, that you are willing to do for us and help us out with the families and protecting them and just guiding them through misery. I mean, we really are, as advocates of victims of crimes and homicide, we're trying to be somewhat of a guide as they go through the misery of waiting for their case to be solved, or for the person to be caught who unalived their loved one, or for their missing person to be found. So thank you. I appreciate you all so much. So again, just a reminder, Wednesdays is our Angry Bitch Club, primarily focused on domestic violence victims and their families, looking for missing domestic violence victims and standing for everything to do with women and women's rights to have the best life possible, free from violence. Thursdays, we're calling out corruption by looking through the cases of our families, trying to see if there's been mistakes made, looking at the police reports, the autopsy, the witnesses' interviews, body cam footage, whatever we can get our hands on from the family or from the courts or from the police, the sheriff. We go through the cases step by step. Thursday is a working night for me, and you get to come along. I basically pick the cases apart, thread by thread, trying to look for something that was missed or something that you all could see or find, because many of you are obviously, most of you are extremely intelligent people, and you follow true crime for a reason. You have a passion for it. So that's what we're up to on Thursday nights. If you want your case looked into or just picked apart by us with a fine-tooth comb with a microscope, we will do that, and happy to do it on Thursdays on Calling Out Corruption. And then, of course, like I said, on Fridays is the night that we cover trial cases. So far, we've only really covered the Karen Reed, John O'Keefe trial and the death of John O'Keefe, but we have talked about now the tragic loss of the 4 Idaho students in Moscow, Idaho. We've also talked about the Sandra Birchmore case, the arrest of Matthew Farwell, waiting for that to either go to trial, for him to plead guilty. Whatever happens, we still don't know, because he's been arrested for a year and he still hasn't had a hearing. But hopefully that's coming up in August. We've been looking into Anna. Yeah, what'd you say, Jules?
August 5th. I mean, August is going to be a big day. I mean, he's still supposed to go on the 5th. Like what Mizzy said, that hasn't been delayed that hasn't been rescheduled as of yet, but August 5th. So August 5th, a lot of stuff's going to happen.
It is. So towards the end of the night, when we're done with what we were finishing up from Friday Night Lies, I want to introduce you to Amy Bradley. Some of you know about Amy Bradley. It's been a long time for most of us. Most of us were quite young when she went missing in 1998. She was on a cruise with her family, and she went missing approximately 5:30 to 6 a.m. Vanished, never to be seen again, except for there have been sightings where people believe they actually saw her in some of the islands, Barbados. Someone thought they saw her in San Francisco, California, one of the other islands as well. So what are you doggies up to out there? So I will, but I want to introduce you to her at the end of the night, or reintroduce you for those that might have followed her case. But it's been a cold case now for many years, but I still haven't figured this out. But it came back into the media very prominently in the last 2 weeks while I was in Wisconsin and traveling. So I didn't get a big chance to really figure out what's going on and why. But her brother has been doing interviews, and he actually did an interview with our very own Young Jerks, Mike Crawford, from the Karen Reed, John O'Keefe case. And Mike is a Massachusetts resident. So that was, I didn't even know about that until today. I was actually looking up Amy Bradley, trying to remember more about her tragedy. I recall it from 98, but I didn't remember the details. I had no clue that so many people already, live streamers, have interviewed him in the last 2 weeks, and have this case is now back out into the public. So that's great for her if she is still alive and is being held in a captive situation, in a trafficking situation. I'm glad for her and her family. So, but I was stunned when I looked up and I'm like, wow, Mike just interviewed him, her brother, Brad Bradley, just this past Wednesday. So it's good to see people wanting to talk about her and be interested in what could have possibly happened to her. So we'll talk about that a little bit. One thing I want to talk about real quick before we jump back into where we left off Friday night, which was Lally being grilled about his incompetence with 6 search warrants, and Proctor being Proctor. I just want to quickly bring up a photo of a missing young man from here in Florida, from Davies, Florida. Oh, hang on, I got to go back. Give me a second. Let me remove that real quick. I've got to go back to the beginning of my slide deck. So hang on 2 seconds. So this young man has some depression issues, but no violence, no arrests, no drugs, no alcohol problems, kind, loved by family and friends, and was going through a depression phase in his life, which we can all relate to that. Most of us, I would say 90% of us humans, have been through depression phases where we just don't feel right. We don't feel like ourselves. We're taking something that happened in our life extra hard, whether it be the death of a loved one, or possibly a job change, or someone breaking up with us, or children being ill, or deaths in the family. I mean, we all go through these type of traumas. So most of us know what that feels like to go through a stage of depression. So apparently Hunter was going through a stage of depression back at the end of May, and he walked out of his house. No one saw him leave. He just left, I guess, and was maybe going for a walk, possibly, but didn't come back home. So he literally just vanished, like Sarah Ebersol, and not unlike Amy Bradley. Just 1 minute, the families have eyes on their family member and they're hearing from, and the next minute they're just gone. And there's no evidence as to why they're gone, what could have happened to them. They've just literally disappeared off the face of the planet. So concerning, so alarming, horrible for the families. And he wasn't wearing any shoes, according to the family, did not take his phone, didn't have his wallet on him. So he is just wandering around this South Florida area of Davie, Florida. He's been missing 8 weeks now, which is, the longer time goes by, the more concerning this is. But the one thing, I was able to reach out to the family, and I spoke with his father, and I offered him a little bit of solace. And I said that when people go missing, when they're having a mental health crisis, many times it's because they are feeling stressed, because they feel that they are being a burden to their families. They feel as if, oh my gosh, I'm hurting my family. I'm a burden to my family. I'm just gonna go. But typically when that happens, they will at least take their ID with them, and their wallet and their phone, so that if they want to be contacted, they can be contacted at some point. So it's very unusual for someone who's planning to just go missing because they feel like they're a burden to their family, or they're hurting their family, to leave without any ID, any cell phone, anything like that. So that is a big concern. But it is possible that he was in such a state of mind that he walked off. And then once maybe he recovered his state of mind, he realized, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to go. I can't go back. And maybe he's being befriended by locals, and he's promised them to silence. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be going on where this young man could still be with us and could still be alive. And that's what obviously we're praying for the family. So I'm quite a distance from South Florida. I'm a good 4 hours from South Florida, but there are occasions where people that are missing due to mental health crisis, or they're in a midst of homelessness because of losing a job and or mental health, they tend to gravitate to the beach cities, because the beach cities have homeless populations because of the traffic of the visitors, where they can panhandle. Here in Daytona Beach, they panhandle, and they don't really, I don't know if it's illegal. I've never looked it up. In some cities, it's illegal to panhandle, but I see them here all the time with signs asking for money, and I never see any of them getting arrested or getting in trouble. So it might just be more tolerated here than other cities. I'll have to look into that now that I'm talking about the law, but there are cities where it's illegal and the homeless actually get arrested, which to me, and that's a whole nother topic for another live stream, makes zero sense. Why are you arresting a homeless person who has no money, nothing to their name? How are they going to pay the fine? Then they're going to have a warrant out for their arrest because they don't come to the court hearing in most cases. I know this from when I was a police officer. And then they have a warrant out for their arrest and a fine, and they're homeless and they have nothing, no money, nothing to their name. I've never understood this whole vicious circle, this revolving door of arresting the homeless, arresting someone who has nothing to give you. That's always bothersome to me. But since I've lived up in Volusia County, I do notice that they do seem to tolerate those individuals who are in need and in trouble, holding up signs and asking for help and asking for money. So if he's lived in Florida all his life, it's very possible that he did migrate to one of our beach cities where there's more activity going on, more people, more chance of getting help, of maybe getting into a homeless shelter possibly than there would be in a very small town. I believe we have 2 or 3 here in Volusia County. So I did offer that to the family, that it's a possibility that he could be in one of the homeless shelters up here in Volusia County. So I'm going to go out Monday, tomorrow, and visit our homeless shelters. And once they drop off they're going to be going right through my city on the way home from another town. So I'm going to put up some of his missing flyers, and also go to some of our homeless shelters here and see if anybody has seen him or heard of him or recognizes him. So if you're in Florida anywhere, and I know my dear Shauna, you're down in South Florida. He went missing from Davie, Florida. I'm not sure how close that is to you. Anyone else in Florida who watches us live or on the replay, this is Hunter. He's not dangerous, no weapons, no harm, no violence, just suffering from a deep depression right now. So please get a hold of me if you see him, and I will make sure and contact the family. The family is giving out their number. I think they do have some concerns, obviously, of police contacting him and him being afraid. So this is always a touchy one when you see someone who's missing. Do you call the police, or do you try to get hold of the family first? But you don't want them to leave the area. So I'm still an advocate of calling the police if you see a missing person and telling the police where you saw them, give a description, what were they wearing, and then let the police try to find that person, and then contact, the family as well, and let them know that you think you saw their person and that you've called the police, because we want to get this person home and safe with their family as soon as possible. So please help out if you can, Floridians, any tourists that are currently in Florida that happen upon our channel. And I'll give you more information as I get it when I meet the family tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone. All right, let's go back now, and let's get back to where we were, Julie, on our Friday Night Lies, Friday night. I appreciate all of you. I was a little blurry-eyed. I'd been traveling at that point for almost 15 days. I'm yesterday when I got home, I was on day 19. So I'm glad to be home. It was a wonderful time in my second original home of Madison, Wisconsin. As you know, I go back and forth quite frequently, but this trip was a lot bigger because I was up in Virginia Beach twice, and met a very dear friend of mine from USC in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'd never been there, so I can add Fayetteville to a city that I have now been to. And I got to see my dear friend Betty. And in the beautiful mountains of West Virginia, I got to see my dear friend from USC, Robert, and his lovely wife and dog, and dogs. And they live in the beautiful mountains of West Virginia. So I really covered a lot of territory this time. Volusia County, all the way up to Virginia Beach, to Wisconsin, Madison, back to Virginia Beach, and back down. And the last 2 days, I was in a massive heat wave. So it was really uncomfortable getting the dog out and using the restroom and getting gas. I'm not going to lie, it sucked. I don't recommend it to anyone. Don't travel when there's an extreme heat warning in the states that you're traveling through if you don't have to, because it was brutal. But we're glad to be back and on our special Sunday night. And we're going to jump right back in with Julie and with our chatting about what went down last week with Lally, and just really showing, Julie, a scary, disturbing amount of incompetence.
I mean, like the best way I could describe it is apathy, but I mean, I don't even think apathy is a strong word for what we've seen. And again, we just started to touch upon, I mean, like you and I watched just a little bit more, and like you could see, like it got exponentially worse and worse and worse. And like, I mean, like Kat, I showed you at the end of Emily's a video where she goes through what natural log looks like, and you could just see it all over her face. Like you saw where she started, and you saw what the end video looked like, and she was like, I don't know what to do with this. Now again, just to cover, Emily D. Baker was a former assistant DA, or I forget, she calls them something else, for LA, either county or district, but it's
LA County. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, LA County. So it's New York City, number one, right, biggest city. Los Angeles, number 2. So it's not like she's in, Wyoming or Missouri or somewhere like that, where it's like, like low volume, like they're dealing with stuff. And for her just to have that reaction that she did of like, what are you doing, or what are you not doing, and why do you not care? Like, we're going to see that tonight. Why do you not care? But right before we do this, I saw something that was on the news, and just watching. It's a 2-minute clip. Just looking at this for 45 seconds. This is in New Hampshire, okay? New Hampshire 603 seltzer, where they make that. This is where this happened. So I'm gonna.
You have the clip.
Can you? Yep. Can you share my screen?
Yeah, I can. Hang on just a second. Let me
Thank you, ma'am.
So it's easier for me to work in the background with my camera black. Is it the one you've got up now, right?
Yep.
Is a picture of the house?
Yep.
Okay. Before presenting a screen, I've got to remove the other media. Hang on a second. It gives me all these little cues. Please remove the other media before adding media to the stage.
I know that's probably like the last thing that you want to hear after being heated. Like, no, tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me, YouTube. So this is up in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's the capital of New Hampshire. It's, I mean, even though it's the capital, it's still up in New Hampshire, so it's still small. So I mean, it's a larger a department compared to somewhere like Keene, New Hampshire, Bow, New Hampshire, the place where they do the first primaries when they first I know CNN and MSNBC and Fox make a big deal, like whenever there's a presidential election, they go up to like Knobs Creek, New Hampshire. I forget what it's actually called, where there are like 6 people, and then they go up to Maine and do the same thing. So it's a decent sized department. Now in this story, I mean, they're going to explain what happened here, but this person, this just came out 2 hours ago, this specific story, or this specific coverage. But I guess Friday at this house, the fiance girlfriend walked into the house, found her fiance boyfriend in the house unconscious. Looks like he was beaten up pretty good. He was unconscious, called 911, brought him to the hospital. He's in a coma. And we're going to see what it looks like. So that's what, 48 hours, maybe 36 hours. So we're going to see what it looks like. Just pay attention to the scene, because you don't see inside, you just see people working.
Developing situation out of Manchester. Police have spent the weekend on part of Holly Avenue. All they can say so far is that there's an active investigation. Thanks for joining us here at 5. I'm John Schoenheider. Police first got there Friday night, and WMUR's Mike Moses.
Okay, everybody see, I mean, they're going to show you some of this, but I don't know if you see, there are 2 officers here, gloves, walked inside, and this guy is holding what looks like somebody taking a log, which we'll see more of.
Is live from that neighborhood tonight. Mike, you talked to the victim's family.
That's the house.
John, good evening. Yeah, just to reiterate again, like you mentioned, police are not giving us a heck of a lot of information, only that they are calling this an active investigation. But we did speak with the woman who owns this home here behind me. That is, we spoke with her sister, who tells us that it was her sister's fiance that was found inside that home on Friday afternoon, and he was in bad shape after being beaten up.
It seems like he was assaulted. He did not have any idea of what happened.
April Govea tells News 9 her sister's fiance, Trevor Bouchard, was found unconscious inside his home here on.
Okay, this is what I wanted to show. Okay, so this right here, can you guys see my my cursor on the screen? Yes, no? Wait a
Sorry,
minute.
I was muted. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, yep, there it is. Yep. Okay, so here's the residence, and we're going to see from this side as well, but there's a police cruiser here. There is crime scene tape. Now, granted, it's not howling wind or whatever you want to call, whatever excuse it came up with. Here, on the other side, it goes all the way around, and there is a command center out front, which means that this is basically like, ground zero, meaning, if you're on the scene, you come in, you log, right? Ken, you can speak more to this because this is your wheelhouse. Like, you have a command center, you come in and out, you log, anything that comes in and out goes in here and gets processed, right?
Exactly. And not all scenes get the big truck, but they can, whatever evidence they pull, they can put in, they have evidence kits. Believe it or not, most police departments carry evidence kits in the trunks of their cars. Canton, sorry, but that's just it. But when they can bring in something like this, which is an actual command center, that's even extra special and huge and helpful to finding out what happened to this person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's basically like home away from the home. That's basically your department right there. So
right.
Okay, so let's see what else we see.
Holly on Friday afternoon, severely injured, and they.
Oh, everybody see? This is an officer with gloves on. Looks like two sets of gloves. See, it has latex and looks like nitrile, and he's holding an unmarked evidence bag that looks like he's going to sign and go over it. Let's see if we can see if it says
inside his home here on Holly Ave Friday afternoon, severely.
I don't see stuff. Let's see. Let's compare. Does that look like that? Nope. Fail. So he didn't have a Stop and Shop. He doesn't have solo cups. None of that. So apparently somebody's doing crime scenes wrong. So
injured, and they believe it was a random act of violence. They tell us Bouchard is now in stable condition in the ICU, and they're pleading for information. Police have not released any details about what happened.
Again, officers here. Looks like there's a guy just standing, taking a log of what comes in or what goes in and what comes out of the house. I don't know.
Happened inside the home, only that they're calling it an active investigation.
See, and that's the other side with crime scene tape that goes all the way around. And oh, how do I take the captions off? Oh, like that. Look at that. And look, an anchor. So you could say, no, we had nothing to tie it to. Well, they improvised.
Yeah.
Correctly, I would like to say, but what do I know?
Yeah, but they're going to whine and cry about the snow and how much it was so cold.
Oh, please. I mean, just like what you said when we did the break apart of saying, like, okay, if you're a patrol officer, you're first on the scene and you see, a person down the snow and three people screaming, you said that, like you declare a crime scene, and you mark it off, even if you said, like, they're just an officer holding the crime scene tape and making sure nobody, like physically standing there and saying, you stand there until somebody comes here and, like, rotate every, 2 hours, have another officer come in. Like, why couldn't they do that? But that's neither here nor there.
The family members believe Bouchard was attacked sometime between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Friday.
No,
I don't know why they're doing that.
Severely to the point where he's in a coma right now, and we have no tips from neighbors. So he's just such a kind soul. So
she said they're getting tips from neighbors.
So to do that to this person, you would have to be not a very kind human in general.
And police were here throughout the weekend. We did see some officers leave here around 11 a.m. this morning. Again, police not giving us many details at the moment. Meanwhile, the family is hoping that anyone here in the neighborhood, if they saw something, that they will help investigators. Reporting live in Manchester tonight, I'm Mike Moses.
And there we go. So that's that. So what did we see that was similar, and what did we see that was not similar? Well, a lot. So it is possible. It is possible.
Great, great example, Jules, of what it looks like to conduct a proper crime scene response. You know, that's really something. Now, Kathy shared with me a couple days ago that at her apartment where she lives, there was an arrest, and it was obviously a serious, in my opinion, it was a warrant arrest, and I believe Kathy didn't know that at the time, but might know that now. I don't know if it was in the news or not, but when we were speaking, it hadn't hit the news cycle yet. So really no one in Kathy's general neighborhood knew what was going on. But when 15 squad cars, a mixture of unmarked and marked from 2 to 3 different agencies are in your parking lot, you can pretty much be rest assured that it's a gun call, a domestic violence with weapons call, or a warrant arrest with possible weapons. There would never be any reason for that many squad cars to descend on an apartment complex other than that. Well, obviously a bomb threat they could, but thank God it wasn't that, because it was in Kathy's, building. Obviously any other kind of weather related response could garner that, but this looked to be more like it was a warrant arrest out of the same apartment area where Kathy was living, where she lives. So it turned out that they walked out a man in handcuffs from his apartment building. And then to her dismay, and Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not retelling this correctly, at least 8 squad cars, a combination of marked and unmarked, remained in her parking lot, I believe she said for 7 to 8 hours. So she asked me, what the heck is that all about? Well, there's a couple things, right? So one, they're protecting the scene until they can get the warrant to search the apartment so that they can confiscate computers, phones, whatever else they've listed in the warrant for probable cause. 2, there was another warrant out for the roommate or the wife or the partner, and they weren't there. So they were waiting for that person to come home. That's the other option. So those really are the 2 options why 8 squads with officers would have remained in her parking lot for that many hours after an arrest had been made. Those are the only 2 reasons I can truly think of. If any of you can think of any others, feel free, type in our friend zone, please. But I was going to call and see if I could find out from dispatch what was going on, open records. Of course, they're not going to tell me too much because it's probably an ongoing investigation. Correct. But they might have just been able to say, yes, that was a warrant arrest out of such and such an address. But they, for whatever reason, Dane County sheriffs didn't have an emergency number for the weekends. I found that to be bizarre, and that might be my fault. I might have Googled it wrong. But Kathy, if you've heard anything in the news and you want to share, feel free to share. Thanks for sharing that with me, because that's very rare that you're ever going to be at your place of business or at your home and a combination of 15 marked and unmarked squads pull in and you witness an arrest like that. Doesn't happen to a lot of people, never see something like this. So I know that was somewhat shocking for you. So just let us know if you want to share anything in the friend zone. That would be great. But thanks for sharing that with me. And if you need me to call and find out any more info, if you're still interested, because inquiring minds want to know, or as Kathy put it, her internal Mrs. Kravitz. If those of you that are boomers remember The Bewitched, and Mrs. Kravitz was the nosy neighbor who was always trying to figure out what was up with Bewitched with Samantha. Kathy told me it was her inner Mrs. Kravitz that really was dying to know what was going on and why this person had been arrested. So yes. Oh, and welcome Kim to the chat tonight, to our friend zone. I'm glad to have you. And thank you, MCAT. I appreciate that. Yes, let's all pray for Hunter's safe return to his family. All of us that are moms and aunts can imagine, or grandmothers can imagine how horrifying this is to have a family member literally just disappear into thin air. And there's nothing, no evidence at all where they've been. No one's seen them, no sightings. It's just, that's terrifying and heartbreaking for all families. So let's just pray for Hunter's safe return. And I'm going to extra pray that maybe I will see him at one of our homeless shelters here in Volusia County tomorrow. That would be amazing. His family's been visiting family north of here, and they're working their way back down to their home in South Florida. They'll be going right by me. So that's why I'll be grateful to get to meet them and grab some missing flyers to post for them around the area. So I'll have an update on Hunter weekly as we go forward working with his family. So Julie and I met for a little bit today because I just wanted to I didn't watch the hearing with Lally live because I was at doctor's appointments that day in Madison. So, and I wanted to wait till Friday Night Lies and kind of have a visceral reaction with all of you like we did Friday night. But Julie and I met today for a little bit because I kind of wanted to get my bearings on how egregious his testimony was before.
Bad. Worse.
Yeah. Oh, Kathy, Gladys Kravitz. Yes. Mrs. Kravitz, Gladys Kravitz. I'm sorry, you guys. That is like old school boomer show, Bewitched, and would probably never fly nowadays with how much reality TV we have. But I'm telling you, if you're okay watching the Housewives of Beverly Hills and the Housewives of all these other cities, and I'm sorry, Housewives, but you ladies make me have a headache. And so if people, that's my opinion. If people are willing to watch those shows, then don't ever scold me for watching Bewitched and all the great shows that were on.
I Dream of Jeannie.
In the 60s and 70s. Yes, I Dream of Jeannie. What's funniest?
I think we need some of that though. Just come on, Larry. Give us the warrants. Maybe that's what Ro's looking for. Maybe that's what. Like, oh, I didn't wiggle my nose hard enough. That's why. Oh, we solved it. We solved it, everybody.
The last time I was down in Cocoa Beach was probably a good 2 years ago now. And it's a cute little Florida beach town. I really like it down there. It's just fun to go out of my own Volusia County element.
Major Nelson, Dr. Bellows. Yep.
And it's fun to be down there because I can't help but think of and remember what that was like, when I was a kid and I was like, oh, I want to go to Cocoa Beach. I want to see, where the astronauts are. And then when I took my kids to the Kennedy Space Center back in the late 90s, we hung out in Cocoa Beach and we went to the Space Center and it was fantastic. If any of you get the chance to go down here someday and see the Space Center in Kennedy, it's just fantastic place to visit. But I couldn't help but think about Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and Major Nelson and Major Healy and I mean I literally
that was the other one. Yep.
Yeah, and Dr. Bellows. Thank you, MCAT. Good old Dr. Bellows. I loved him. He was a great actor. But that was just such a fun show to watch when we were kids and pretty harmless all around. So Kathy says, no updates yet. A large police presence was here from 10:30 p.m. Monday night until about 8 p.m. on Tuesday night. Holy cow. That's crazy, Kathy. That's crazy. Can you imagine that, Canton? A police presence for that long surrounding 34 Fairview because a Boston police officer was found dead in the front yard of another Boston police officer. Can you imagine them having a tape around the area, staying with the area until they could get a warrant for the rest of the property, interviewing everybody that lived in the home right away, right out of the gate, anybody and everybody that was in that house that might have seen something, not waiting 9 months or a year or never to interview people that might have seen something. Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yep.
Stunning.
Yep. How many leaf blowers did you see? Did you see any leaf blowers?
Kathy, any leaf blowers?
Did anybody do a leaf blower analysis? Inquiring minds want to know.
Exactly. Oh, and MCAT, Darren 1 or Darren 2. Yep. What's your vote? You know what? Kat, that's difficult for me because I have to be honest, whenever a character changes on one of my favorite shows, I'm always let down and it's like, oh, this sucks. But I hate it when they kill off characters just because the popular character doesn't or can't be on the show anymore. So I'm always torn. Do they kill off the guy or the gal or do they bring in a new one? It took me a little bit, but I got to really like Darren 2. I don't think I liked him as much as Darren 1 because Darren 1's facial expressions were to die for. I mean, nobody could make a facial expression regarding Samantha and all of her shenanigans and her mother-in-law, and Dora. What an amazing actress she was.
Dora.
Yeah.
Love her. That one and what's his face? What was the Uncle Arthur? That was oh, what the hell was his name? Not Charles Nelson Riley, the other guy.
Oh yeah. Oh, hello, Queen. Welcome, Queen Olive.
What the hell is his name?
We're always glad to see you. Yeah. So those shows were it's
I can't
great.
think of his name.
So speaking of watching television shows back from the 60s and 70s, I actually, when I was at Michelle's house recuperating that one night before I hit the road again to get back down here, we watched A Star is Born, the most original one from 2018 with Cooper and Lady Gaga.
Dice.
Now, I had, pardon?
Oh, what was I going to say? The character that Lady Gaga plays, her father is Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, yes.
Dice. Oh, yeah.
So I had only watched half of A Star is Born because I had seen the other three. I saw the original 1937 one back when I was a young girl with my mom in the 60s. Then I saw the one with Judy Garland that was made in 1954. And I saw
the original.
Well, no, the original was from 1937, Julie.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes.
I thought the one with what's-her-face was the original one.
No, there's four.
Wow.
So 1937 was with Janet Garner. 1954 was with Judy Garland. 1974 or 76 was Barbara Streisand, and then 2018 Lady Gaga. So 4 Stars Born. So when I found out this was coming out, I have to be honest, I wasn't sure I wanted to watch it because sometimes for me, a movie that's been done on a 4th time, I know it. I know the plot. I know what happens. I know everything. I didn't know if I wanted to, but the original, just for you guys to know this, the original plot from 1937 and 1954 was the man was a movie star, and he was down in his luck because of drugs and alcohol, and he wasn't getting parts anymore. And he discovers this woman who has her own band and who's a singer, who was Janet Garner and Judy Garland in the first 2 movies. And he discovers her when he wanders into a club that her band is playing in one night. So it's a little bit of they stuck with that for both the first 2 movies. And then for the next movie as well, they kept the same name when Barbara Streisand did it. They kept the same name of the name she used, and then the stage name she used. They kept the same premise that it was but they changed it. Christopher Christopherson was a rock star. So that's when they changed it to rock star, was for The Star is Born with Barbara Streisand. But the first 2 Stars is Born, the guy was not a rock star. He was a movie star. So, but the premise is there, right? Movie star, rock star, down in their luck because of drugs and alcohol, depression, not doing well. And then at the end of the day, sorry for the spoiler alert, plug your ears for those of you that have never seen A Star is Born, but the person unalives themselves at the end. So I knew that, that Bradley Cooper was going to unalive himself. So I watched half of it because I wanted to hear Lady Gaga sing. But up until I was at Michelle's house, I just couldn't bring myself to watch it to the end because I just didn't want to watch Bradley Cooper unalive himself. I just didn't want to. I think it's because of all this true crime we're involved in now and all of the missing people that we have and the victims of homicide that we're standing for. And I just didn't want to be that depressed. So I've watched it halfway through and a 3/4 through numerous times in the last few years since it came out. But I did watch the other 3 all the way through. So I have to say, I mean, Lady Gaga impressed the heck out of me. Can't get the song Shallow out of my head now. I was humming it all day long, but it's a reminder that our mental health is so fragile. And at any time, any of us, and now we have Hunter who's missing due to mental health issues. We have Sarah Ebersol missing, and some of the people she was involved with and partying with that night were addicted to drugs. One of them died of a drug overdose. Bubba died of a drug overdose. Many of them are still struggling with drugs, those that were involved in this Sarah Ebersol case. And then we have other domestic violence victims whose husbands have unalived them. We're standing for Anna Walsh right now, Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clark Simpson, Sandra Birchmore, who are other ladies that we've been advocating for. Lachey Elkins is still missing, and her boyfriend unalived her. And so it's just horrifying. And you're dealing with severe mental health crisis when a happily married couple, supposedly for many years, and then suddenly marriage goes dark and bad, and the husband unalives their wife. And 85% of women, people, are unalived by their husband, boyfriend, ex-spouse, or a boyfriend a non-boyfriend who wants to be their boyfriend's potential stalker, but they know the person. 85%. So mental health is huge. Yes, dear.
Oh, real quick, you said 85% of women are unalived by their spouse. You mean that 85% of women who are unalived are by their spouse? Not like 85. Like newsflash, lady, you have it 85%. Not. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that you didn't mean that.
Let me make it even more specific.
I want to start mass hysteria.
Right. Let's make it more specific, though. Women who are killed are 85% of the time killed by someone they know, not a stranger. Now, even though we still promote, ladies, being very careful if you do choose to walk alone, because you have every right to do that. You are a free individual. Women, we shouldn't live in fear. But I don't know about all of you in the chat, but when I was growing up and when I went away to college, my parents were terrified. I mean, they were terrified, and they said, don't walk alone at night. Take a cab. There were no Ubers or Lyfts back in the 80s. Take a cab. Use the campus Safe Watch program. Don't walk alone at night. And that's still true to a point, but it isn't like we were told it was, because only 15% of women get killed by a stranger. 85% of women are killed by someone in their family or a friend or relative. Of that 85%, 65% are their husband, boyfriend, past boyfriend or husband. That's a huge number. And all of domestic violence is related to some type of violent disorder in the man that's been in there and steaming, or a complete mental health crisis where there is a breakdown of sorts that leads to the man unaliving his wife or girlfriend. So when they make these movies and they include mental health and they include unaliving, whether it's homicide or unaliving of themselves, it's not just a movie. It's not just fiction. It's happening every day in our communities. Every day, 3 women are unalived by someone they know. And so I have a hard time with these movies sometimes because they just hit a little too close to home. So anyway, that's why I wanted to share that with you about me watching the movie. And so again, welcome to everybody who's in our friend zone tonight. I'm really happy to have all of you. Thanks for all of your comments. Thanks for your advocacy and standing for victims of homicide and standing for the missing. MCAT says, Shallow at the Oscars was epic. I died. It was perfection. It really, truly was. I have to say, I just get the chills now, even thinking about it, MCAT. That was amazing. And it was epic in a lot of ways because many people hit the social media the next day. Michelle and I were talking about this after we watched it together the other night. That was intense chemistry. And of course, they played it down the following days by saying that's just because we're both actors and performers and we can get into a moment so good that we can fake you all out. Right. But I don't know, guys. I'm not trying to start about Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, but I gotta say, acting only goes so far. That was some intense, insane chemistry going on that night at the Oscars that I've never seen on live TV before. I don't know about all of you, but my gut was saying, oh, no. Something happened here with these two. It might not have been physical, but something spiritual happened with those two while they were making that movie. And that is just my opinion, of course. So, all right. So enough of our idle chit chat. We do like to throw in idle chit chat because the stuff we're covering is heavy, pressing, sad, and those of us that are on the outside trying to support, we still have to have some lightness when we meet on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So we try to bring up some things and show you things that aren't necessarily just about the cases, because we all need to kind of clear our palates and have a mental break.
I have something at the end for that too. So before we sign off, I have something nice and light.
Nice and light.
Murder sharks. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, more murder sharks. More murder sharks.
No, schmurder. You gotta say schmurder, or else YouTube gets bitchy. So.
Oh, that's right. We don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Gotta say schmurder. So let's go back to
schmurder sharks.
Murder sharks. That's right. Let's go back to what we were talking about Friday Night Lives. And Julie was kind enough to have my back while I was traveling and pull up most of our videos in advance for us, so we didn't have to go searching for them. And getting the reaction of Emily D. Baker, who was a prosecutor, like Julie talked about at the beginning tonight. And she's obviously a law tuber now. She's been covering a lot of trial cases the last few years. I love listening to her opinion. We don't always have to agree with the law tubers, you know, as lay people out here in the world, but I respect her opinion. And she just loses her shit during this hearing. And she's watching it live with us during her live. She had not seen it. She was busy that day. And so we're watching on the replay with her, but she's watching live. From this point forward, I'm pretty much watching live as well, except for what Julie and I went over today. So let's finish our critique and our constructive criticisms of Proctor and Lally and this case that, and how is it Scarpiccio?
Wait a second. Wait a second. All right. So, all right. So just baseline again. I say Scarpiccio. I'm sorry. That was the correct pronunciation. She pronounces it Scarpiccio. It's again the Italian pronunciation. Again, I know people with this last name. It's pronounced Capicchio because that's how it's spelled. CHI in Italian is key. Again, that's not my name. This is her name. She's entitled to however she wants to pronounce it. And again, if I flip and say Scapicchio, I'm not doing it to be a jerk or whatever, just because it slips into it. So I just want to have that baseline. So if I do, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just that I've had this last name in my lifetime. So anyway, so when last we left off, this stuff is going to
check on the puppy.
Yeah, no worries. So this is a case in Norfolk County with a lot of the same players. This is a case of the defendant's name in this case is Miles King. He's being represented by by attorney Rosemary Scapicchio, who is a defense attorney in Boston. She's been around for a long time. She has big cases. She has the Sean Ellis case. She did another one, I believe, in Middlesex County, because I remember, like, she, like, every once in a while on the news, she pop up and it's like, oh, hey, I remember her. Like, she's, firecracker. Well, like I said, she's not a firecracker. She's the whole box of fireworks. So,
exactly.
So this is a case that goes back to, and the victim's name in this. Now, again, in all these cases, there's the rule of law and procedures. As Americans, we are Americans. We love America. We have rules of law. We have the Constitution. Constitution has amendments. We have amendments to follow, which is what the courts, prosecutors, and police are supposed to go by. Like, so, for example, the Sixth Amendment gives you the right to a fair trial. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to afford it right to a fair trial of your peers, and it's supposed to be you have the right to a speedy trial. The Eighth Amendment says that there's no cruel, unusual punishment, or there's no cruel punishment. Like, you can't have a $10 million bail, or $1 billion bail, or you can't have all these hurdles to jump through, or you can't be stuck in the stockades like they used to do, stick people's heads and hands through, and people would shame you. Can't do that anymore. So that's the Sixth and the Eighth Amendment. So that's the reason why we go through all this. Again, we're Americans. Just like Grant, where he loves America and he hates the commies, we also love America. We want the rule of law to work. So what's happening right now is this case goes back to 2021. The victim's name, his last name is Simmons. I forget his first name. His last name is Simmons. He was actually a witness in this case because somebody in the ambulance, when he was being transported before he passed away, he said, he's on record saying, that guy right there did it. So seems like a strong case, but again, in America, we're all innocent until found guilty by a jury of our peers. So this happened in 2021. It is now 2025, and as we heard, the defense is still missing critical information. So they're wondering, hey, where is this? Well, the feds came in, the feds found some information, and it's going to be destroyed because it's under a federal lock and key. Where after the Karen retrial went, they had 30 days. It got extended. They gave it to them last minute. It got extended 3 weeks. So they're going to see what's happening. But in the meantime, this is happening where they're saying, hey, what is happening here? So that's what's happening here. And Lally got on the stand, and Lally did his Lally thing. And now we're going to continue. And now, again, like what Kat said, Emily D. Baker is looking at this, again, as a former ADA, but this is her first reaction first response. She's seeing this raw. So these are going to be her reactions, and it's starting to warm up. So so the stuff that we saw beforehand, it was mild compared to what's happening. Like this literally broke her. I mean, I am so glad. This is so important because again, she's a former ADA of a large city, and she can look at this and say like, hey, we need remedies, we need this, we need that. This should happen. This should happen. This should happen. And when we get into it, we're gonna break it apart because it's nice that we have a former police officer here with us who can go through some of the steps in this. So let's get ready to rumble.
Bring it on, Lally.
Here we
Because
go.
they're being done at the beginning. Even if they're, huh?
How your system works. You said you had a system where if you asked for something and you didn't get it,
System.
you would then follow up with the police officer asking again and again. Did you do that with Trooper Proctor in this case, the search warrant?
Yes, I believe so.
How many times did you email Trooper Proctor asking for the 6 search warrants?
I don't know.
More than 10?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. How far in between each email? Did you wait a month and email him again? Did you wait a week? Did you wait a day? How long in between your
I can tell you how this went. Every time this came up in court, he went to court and went, oh shit, I don't have those yet. Hey, buddy, can we get these? He wasn't doing work on this case in between, it doesn't seem.
No, ma'am.
It seems like he would go to court and be like, oh, oops, still don't have those yet.
At all.
I guarantee that's what happened.
request to Trooper Proctor to produce the 6 search warrants in this case?
I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Did you review your emails before you came here today?
Some of them, yes.
Some.
Did you see any emails to and from Trooper Proctor regarding the search warrants?
Yes.
How many did you see?
I don't recall.
More than 5?
Yes.
More than 10?
I don't know.
What are the dates of the first time you asked Trooper Proctor for the search warrants?
Specific date, I don't know.
How long before the next time you asked him for a 6 search warrants?
Specifically, I don't know.
Was it months or weeks?
Weeks.
Weeks later. Okay,
Yes.
That's 2 times you asked him. What about the third time? How much time went by?
I don't know.
Months or weeks?
I don't know.
So what do you know? Jesus Christ.
You know, so
Well,
here's the problem with this right out of the gate. He knew he was coming to this hearing, right?
Yep,
He
sure did.
wasn't called in off the street. They didn't go to his office and say, get your ass in court. He knew. He had time to prepare. Don't tell me he doesn't know the answers to these questions. A normal, decent human who loves their job, cares about justice, is going to go back and look at their emails. And obviously they can't have notes up there on the stand, but he can make a mental note. He's smart. He went to law school, for Christ's sake. He can remember looking at his emails and having an vague idea. Yeah, I sent 10 emails to Trooper Proctor and he ignored me 10 times. So I don't buy it for a second that he doesn't know how many times he asked for, emailed Proctor for these copies of these 6 search warrants, right?
No way. But yeah, I mean, just like what Queen Olive said, and I mean, this is not a Norfolk County Lally Proctor exclusive stuff. Like this stuff has been happening for years, and I mean,
Right.
just to see other people's reactions to it, and we're like, oh, but this is just the way it is. It's like, no, this is outrageous. Like, well, I mean, some of it's like we're so desensitized by this. Like, yeah, whatever it is, it's gonna take 5, 10, 15 years. Who the hell knows?
Right. And like
Not the way to be.
like you say, Queen, people getting away with stuff for years, they become very, in their own minds, they become untouchable because so many people know what they've been up to. So many people know their crimes. They've got people involved above and below them. This is exactly what happened in Clark County, Indiana, when we were meeting with Ed Byers last year, when we first started live streaming. The corruption was above and below this sheriff. So there you got, he's insulated. He's insulated above, he's insulated below. And you can bet your life he's got receipts. So he protected himself as well, knowing that at any time the above or the below could rat him out. So you know he had receipts on both of these fractions. And so he then, as time went by, because he got away with the corruption so long in Clark County, Indiana, that they become very narcissistic. They're already somewhat narcissists. A lot of these men who commit crimes in law enforcement and dirty cops. And there can also be narcissism involved with females who commit crimes. It's not, that's just a proven fact. Researchers have told us that many criminals, many dirty cops, corrupt government officials have a tad of narcissism. Have they been diagnosed as a narcissist? Not necessarily, because you can't get diagnosed if you don't go in to see a therapist. And many narcissists refuse to even acknowledge that they have these traits of narcissism. So in a lot of cases, you're not going to have a diagnosis. But given what we know about these symptoms and the signs of a narcissistic person, most of these nefarious characters that are involved in police and government and criminals do have narcissistic traits on board.
Mm-hmm.
So this is no different than Clark County, Indiana. And to be honest with you, it's no different than the Epstein case. Epstein was no fool. He protected himself above and below. And regardless of who you vote for, sorry to sound crass, but I don't give a shit who you vote for. Epstein was a bipartisan freak. He didn't give a shit about politics. He didn't give a shit about anybody but himself and doing his nefarious activities because he was a very vile human. And so he surrounded himself with wealthy, powerful, rich people because that made him feel powerful. That made his little tiny, weak, narcissistic soul feel powerful. And this woman that he hung around with all those years, I'm not saying her name. I can't stand her. She's a liar. She's a pathological liar. You can't believe anything that comes out of her mouth either. She did not get a long enough jail sentence, in my opinion. Nope. And for people out there in the world to be making this political makes me sick. Because there are no political lines when children are involved. There's no political lines when trafficking teenage girls are involved. There's no political lines when homicide and nefarious activity and corruption and dirty cops and corrupt government. Zero political lines. It's all over the place. Even non-politicals who don't give a crap about our country and never vote were on Epstein Island. People from other countries were on Epstein Island. Yep. I can barely stand to go on Twitter right now or Facebook watching people defend people because there is no defense for this and there is no political lines for this. If there's evidence out there that tells us who was participating in the trafficking of these girls, who were actually with these girls that Maxwell and Epstein were trafficking, then put it out there once and for all. I don't care what party they're in. I don't care how famous they are. I don't care how much money they have. It's time they get called on the carpet. They've gotten away with it for too long. And Epstein was smart enough that he insulated himself top to bottom, just like the Clark County Sheriff, just like Massachusetts, just like what's going on down here in Florida in Marion and Volusia County. They insulate themselves and they keep receipts.
Yeah, they sure do. Just to clarify, what you're talking about is narcissism and the insulation to make sure that, like, hey, if I go down, like, politically, you're not talking about, like, hey, just like these guys like Epstein. You're comparing the manipulation and the blackmail of what Epstein did to what's happening or what looks like to be happening here, not the other stuff.
It's not any different. They protect themselves below and above because usually below and above is involved. You're not the head. The guy who ends up getting caught is typically not the head of the snake. He's usually in the middle somewhere, right? Or he's at the end. So he's insulated himself or her, in Maxwell's case, female, so that if something happens and they go down, they will take you with them.
That's right.
They have no loyalties. A narcissist has zero loyalties to anyone but themselves.
Absolutely.
Research proven.
I just wanted to clarify that we're not calling people. Wait, what's the correct or not the correct word? But what's the YouTube word? They're not PDF files, or we're not accusing them of being PDF files. We're doing that's okay.
No, and some of the girls and boys that were being trafficked were over 18. So you can't use the word PDO because they were over 18, but they were still not.
Well, they're still trafficked. Yeah,
they're still being trafficked, and they're not free to come and go. And they're probably being given drugs. They're being brainwashed. All sorts of nefarious activities going on with, and even in the ladies of the night profession, many of them are being given drugs and being kept on drugs so that they can't get away. They're being threatened that we will unalive your family if you leave our little connection. If you rat us out, we will unalive your family. There's no way of knowing for sure how many threats and what all these people are under, but some of them are like, for instance, there's a gentleman, how do I call him a gentleman? A skinky, horrible guy down here in Florida. And I might cover that one of these nights, just as a reminder of how deep the corruption can go. And he was a county tax collector over in the county where my son was living. And he ended up getting arrested for making fake IDs under his office, under his tax collection office, for young girls to be trafficked outside of Florida into Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama. And he was buddies with one of our senators. Imagine that.
Wait,
And
state or
he
U.S.? I mean, not like it makes a difference.
Fundraising parties with many people that you see on TV from Florida that are in prime positions in government. And the guy that was with him at some of these parties, they tried to get a case, but they did not have enough proof and evidence. But I'm telling you, everything I've read in the last 15 years on these two characters, one of them was a senator. One of them is now in jail, and he did all this.
I know who you're talking about. Yep, I know who you're talking about.
He did all this behind his wife's back. He had 2 children. He was just a disgusting human being. He did not get a very long jail sentence. He's going to be out. He's already been in at least 5-6 years. So I'm going to look that up. Actually, we'll have to do a live about this, because it's just another example of this man insulated himself above and below, but he saved the receipts. In case he ever got caught, he could turn some state's evidence and get a deal and get a lesser sentence, which is what we are assuming that he probably did. But they have yet to arrest anyone else in connection with this traffic ring. And so that's my concern in some ways for where is Sarah Ebersol, the case we've been following out of Marion County now since last September. I have some concerns that she might have been trafficked, and that she is alive, and that she wasn't unalive that night, that she was possibly kidnapped and trafficked. I still think that's a possibility, given what I have learned about the trafficking ring that is down here in various fractions in Florida and many of our states that most of you aren't even aware of. It's very, very scary. So that was a long haul circle that we just made from the corruption here, but I wanted to kind of tie that all together and put a little, bow on it for all of you.
We got 1 minute into our video. That's okay. No, like that's, I mean, this is the type of shit that happens. Like, you could say like, well, what's the harm? I let this one go. Well, what's the harm? I let this one go. Well, what's the harm? I let this warrant go. What's the harm? I let that person get off. What's the harm? Like, this is what happens when it builds up over the years. Like, this just didn't happen overnight in Massachusetts. It's been like this for a while. Like, you can't say like, oh, Bulger brought the corruption. Oh, the Kennedys benefit. No, it's been here for a while. And I mean, we've been a state for a long time. We're one of the 13 original colonies, and people landed here first. It's been like this for a long time. It's just now getting exposed. And thank God for cameras thank God for cameras in the courthouse. People covering this stuff. It's getting exposed. Like you need to open the wound and flush that shit out and get air on it so it can heal. Because if not, it's gonna become gangrenous and your arm's gonna fall off.
Exactly.
So,
and
we don't want that.
Shauna said, does Roe ask if he even cares? And then Julie, you answered her, I don't think she does, but her tone of voice implies it.
Sure does. Oh, it sure does. Because Roe breaks too. She's like, what?
Right.
And
then the queen says that's what they do. These rich guys make friends with powerful people.
Absolutely.
And blackmail men, and they get away with it. They get away with it for years. People are getting away with shit right now. 20 minutes from you, 25 minutes from you, 30 minutes from you. It's a cancer. It's a cancer, just like violence against women is a cancer in our society. And the police and the government and all of the nefarious activity that's going on both sides of the aisle it's a cancer, and we have to stomp it out somehow. Having live streaming and having content creators is helping a little bit. Communities have to go to their community meetings, like we saw Rita and
Canton and Brenda Sweeney. My humble opinion, yes,
and O'Donnell and all these people that have been
Colleen O'Neill.
Real deal, Colleen O'Neill, and people actually going in and putting their face in the face. It can't just always be the content creators and advocates. We need to march into our offices and go to our community meetings, whether you call them select board meetings or like in Wisconsin, we have the Dane County Board where you're allowed to go to the meetings for Dane County, which is the county Madison is in. There's Madison City Council is what we call it. You guys call it select board. Whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. These are elected officials. If they're not doing their jobs, if they're being corrupt and they're being corrupt, you have to raise the community awareness somehow. You have to get these people out of office, unelect them by not voting for them. And the only way to do that is to try to convince your fellow community members that this person is dirty, this person is corrupt. It took Ed Byers years and years. People were stalking his house. They were threatening his family because they didn't want to believe that their political party could do these nefarious things. And in Indiana, it was the Republican Party behind a lot of this. In Massachusetts, you all have the Democratic Party behind this nefarious activity. In every state, it can be Democrat, Republican, Independents. Like I was saying,
matter.
Crime is bipartisan, people. Crime is bipartisan, and it's always going to be bipartisan because these guys all have each other's backs. Many of them are at the local pub in Washington, D.C., drinking, cocktails together after they've just had a bitter argument on the Senate floor or in Congress because it's their job. It's their job to debate and fight and try to get their side to win that particular policy or law they're trying to get passed. But at the end of the day, they're human, and not all of them are nice people. Some of them are narcissists, blazing, nasty narcissists. And then they get together with their cronies, whether they're independent, Democrat or independents, Republicans, it doesn't matter. And they play golf and they have drinks while the rest of us have meltdowns and don't speak to our families and cut out our friends and unfriend our friends on social media.
Don't do that.
Right? We're all sticking to our company political line. These guys are hanging out together and women and hanging out and being friends. So you have to keep it in mind and keep your perspective on your ties to your political party because it's the shenanigans, the dirt, the crime, it happens on both sides of the aisle. And I cannot handle social media right now where people are trying to save the president. We're going to save the president. We're going to believe everything Maxwell says. No, I don't care what party Trump's in. He could have run as a Democrat. You guys all know that. He considered running as a Democrat, but he had to decide which party he had the better chance. He says this, it's in an interview. It's coming out of his mouth, not mine. So it is not about your party. It's about the man. It's about the woman. It's about the laws that are being broken. It's about the crime, right?
The only color that matters, not red or blue, it's green. It's green that matters.
Yep. That's what matters to most of these people in these situations where crime and corruption is involved. It's about the powerful almighty dollar and the power of being powerful.
Well, that too. I mean, that doesn't have a color. I mean, what should we call that color? Yellow? I don't know. Green and yellow.
Yellow's too happy. That's black.
True.
I mean, the power of
green and
powerful.
Green and gray.
It wrecks your soul. It's like a creepy, dark, misty gray where the ghosts come out and creepy people because
there you go.
People that are involved in this kind of crap, they are just this close to being able to be a person who commits a homicide. You get powerful enough, you have people do it for you. Right. Have people do it for you and or cover it up. So it's a misty, creepy kind of a gray fog that we can't see through. These are the nefarious people that are in your communities committing crimes daily behind a badge, behind an office, an elected office, behind a corporate CEO desk. Behind a collar for the frock. Behind the collar. Exactly. It's really, really scary. All right. Thanks everybody for that little sidebar. That was our sidebar of the night.
We had to start off with the sidebar just like Bev.
We had to have a sidebar. Okay. Let us continue with the ever witty Emily D. Baker.
This is my favorite part coming up in like 40 seconds. Everybody listen in a row. Well, I mean, everybody should be listening in a row, but everybody listen because she does. I think she does it better than Alan Jackson, Jimmy's. Your sister's not answering the phone, but we'll listen.
What time?
Again, I don't know how many times and I don't know specific dates.
So I guess my question is how does your system work if you're not getting the discovery that you're asking the police officer for, and you're asked for it, let's just say 5 times?
Counsel, you keep calling it a system. I have a feeling it's on vibes and I haven't gotten yelled at about it yet, and the court hasn't ordered me to turn them over and screamed at me, so they're not getting turned over.
Not wrong.
You do. You go to the office and you sit down and say, give me these search warrants, I have to turn them over?
There it was. I'm going to have to do it again because I love it so much.
And I haven't gotten yelled at about it yet, and the court hasn't ordered me to turn them over and screamed at me, so they're not getting turned over. This is wild.
You do. You go to the office and you sit down and say, give me these search warrants, I have to turn them over?
Give me.
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
And
Did you do that with me?
Smack
Did
your
you go
hands?
to Super Proctor and say, give me the search warrants because
Did you smack your hands and go, give me the search warrants right now? Maybe try that. Like, I don't know, maybe Ro didn't wiggle her nose enough and say, I need this. Maybe Lau needs to go down there and get in Proctor's face and say, not now, but maybe this should have happened when everybody had a job and they were on the case, and just go, give me this right now.
Julie, turn your mic down just a little. You're a little
Am I
tinny.
too loud?
Yeah,
I'm
a little
sorry.
bit. You're just a little tinny. Not really. You're not too loud. You're just a little tinny, echoey.
Tinny?
Yeah. I don't know, chat. It might just be me on the platform, but
Is this any better?
Yeah, you don't sound like your normal self. You sound tinny.
I'm in a cave with bats. All right,
You're in a cave with the Batman. You're in the Batman cave.
Okay, all right, hang on.
I have to turn them over.
Yes.
When did you do that?
Sometime prior to the defendant's arraignment in December of 21.
November of 21, did you say?
December of 21.
December of 21. So when you get to his office, do you go there or do you tell him to come to your office? I don't know how that works.
Either
wait. You started asking for search warrants in, I made a note, July or August of 2021, which means that's probably closer in time to when the murder happened. And then the arraignment after the grand jury happened in December of 2021. Are you telling me that you didn't read the search warrants before you went to grand jury? Because when you file a case or grand jury a case or prelim a case, you have to review if there's any serious issues with the warrant, because if there's serious issues with the warrant, you have to then make the decision about whether you bring the case or not, or if new warrants are needed or whatever. Like,
right.
What? So he asked again before December of 2021, before the arraignment, which means the grand jury was before then.
Hang on one second. All right, just for a quick test. What year are we in right now?
As far as I know, we're in 2025.
2025. We are in this, and this just happened recently. We're in July 2025. She's talking about, all right, this crime happened, I believe it was July. It was either June, July 2021. And they went to grand jury. I think it was December. I think that's what he said. So that's
December. Before December. He was arraigned in December.
Do you go to a grand jury before you get arraigned? I thought you get arrested, then you get arraigned, and then you get wait, is that what happens?
Well, no, the grand jury. No, wait a minute. Let me think a minute. Wait, what's the order of this, guys? I thought she said that he got. She said the grand jury happened before he got arraigned.
I thought, that's, I mean, she's going to talk about that a little, I could
be wrong because I'm not a lawyer, but because the grand jury is there to decide if you're going to go to a jury trial, if you're going to go to a trial, right?
Yeah. Well, so that's what I thought. So that's what I'm confused about, where you can have a warrant for your arrest and the police bring you in, but then they need to decide to try you. And so it goes to a grand jury to see if they're going to indict you. So you could be arrested and indicted.
Well,
on depending on the charges, I guess. Like if you could, like if you're again, I'm going to use this example. Like if you're jaywalking and a cop sees you jaywalking and they go, "Hey, you're jaywalking," and they arrest you for, again, this is hypothetical, and they arrest you.
You're going to get a city code.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're going to get a dirty look and say like,
let's just say you're doing something else other than jaywalking. You're doing something that is an arrestable offense, and you're arrested and you're taken into custody and you're driven to the jail in your town or your county and you're booked. Yep. Fingerprinted, and then bail is set. Right, that's how it works. And even in an OWI, driving while intoxicated, you don't have to spend the night in jail. You can be released to a friend or a family member who hasn't been drinking. That's pretty much the law in the States. Yep. But if you can't reach a family member, if you can't reach a friend who hasn't been drinking, then you do spend the night in jail until you go before the judge and your bail gets set and you get released. So you have to find a responsible party in drunk driving arrest before you can be released. But most crimes you can be released the very day they happen, the very night they happen, as soon as your bail gets set and you're set free.
Right. So, okay. All right. So the reason why I keep saying jaywalking because that's like a, low offense. Like let's say I was feloniously jaywalking, and there was a cop there and was like, hey, you're feloniously jaywalking, I'm going to arrest you. And so they arrest me, they bring me to jail, and I get brought in front of a judge. If they either release me on bail or they release me under my own recognizance or whatever the case may be. But let's say for whatever reason I'm in jail for 3 days, and during that time the cop, DA, somebody finds out and goes, oh, wait a second, actually this person this witness right here just implicated a crazy person walking down the street in this theft ring or whatever the case may be. And they bring it in front, they put it in a grand jury and go, look, we just found all this information. We have a witness. Yep, we're going to hold this person on charges. So I'm in jail for one charge, but grand jury finds I can be charged with something else. Isn't this something like, I thought he got held on something else and then got upcharged, or maybe he was held and then went to a grand jury. Like, I don't understand the grand jury.
Look what happened to Karen Reed. I mean, she was
so that's what I'm going off of.
Same example. I mean, she was charged and then later upcharged.
Right. Yeah.
Or
I mean,
added
that
a
was
charge,
another reason, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I don't know if they arrested this guy on the spot or if they went to his house and said, yep, we have all this stuff. And then like 2 months later.
Well, now remember, the only way a police can arrest anybody on the spot is if the crime was committed in front of the police officer, or it's a traffic stop that involves some type of behavior that warrants getting arrested on the spot. Police can't arrest anybody on the spot.
Right. Or if they're found doing another crime, and then they find out like, oh, this guy was breaking into a car, but then we find out that he shot this guy. So,
well, no, you're not gonna find out he shot this guy. It's gonna be
later, like they're gonna arrest you on the spot for something else, like breaking into the car, like Slim Jim in a car door, and then they're gonna find out like, oh, this guy slimmed Jim in a car door. This guy was, this guy got fingered in another case. You know what I'm talking about? Like, so that stuff would go to the grand jury, right? I think so. Like, it's like it's two crimes that are happening at different times.
Right. If you arrest a guy for breaking into a car or breaking into a house and you're there when it's happening, so you can arrest them on the spot because the crime is happening in your presence.
Yes, correct.
But then you find out they're also a suspect in another crime.
Yes.
You can't arrest them though for that crime unless there's probable cause to do so.
No. Right. But if if that goes to a grand jury, while like in the 3 days, let's say that the person's in jail.
But remember that if he's not arrested for the other crime, if he's just a suspect in the other crime, that can't go to a grand jury. You only go to the grand jury for what you've been arrested for what charges were brought against you by the DA.
Okay, see, that's the part that I have.
Police don't bring Remember, police don't bring charges against you.
Right, yeah, but that's
the
what I'm saying.
DA does that. The prosecutors do that.
But that's what I'm saying. So if okay, just hypothetical. If I'm outside, Slim Jim in a car, and a cop drives by and goes, "Hey, you're Slim Jim in a car that you don't have, that you don't own or have a reason to Slim Jim a car. We're going to arrest you for, breaking into a car." They arrest me. During that time, during the time that, okay, I'm arrested, I'm brought into a jail. During that time, they start to prepare stuff for a grand jury, and then the grand jury indicts.
But remember, too, not every case goes before a grand jury.
Okay. See that's why
not an automatic. That's not an automatic.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, that's not an automatic. The grand jury is not automatic, and not every case has a grand jury.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's hang on, let me look something up here for you guys. So because I don't like. Well, I know for a fact not every case goes to a grand jury. But I want to give you a more detailed explanation. So hang on, let me look this up. Got a little legal
so like with grand juries, I know that we're talking about like higher level felonies. So we're not talking about like misdemeanor, like, oh, we'll like slapdash, like, okay, we'll slap you on the wrist for, like, again, I keep using the example of, felonious jaywalking, like that's a misdemeanor, littering, stuff like that, saying like, like I'll effing kill you in a fight.
Well, yeah, you're talking about felony cases, right?
Right, yeah. So those go to the grand jury.
Well, no, just wait. No. Well, okay. Let me talk. Let me read this to you guys, okay? And then you guys can ask questions, and we'll sort this out together. And let's remember, Kathy's not a lawyer. She's a retired patrol officer and a social worker. So most of this I learned along the way being a police officer, but I'm not a lawyer. That's why I'm referring to my nice handy little legal page here that I refer to at times when we're live streaming. So one thing I do know for sure, though, is that, again, this is the United States of America. So every state has their own laws. Every state can operate differently than other states, right? So my page here that I'm on here, states do have their own rules. While some states require grand juries for all felony cases, others allow prosecutors to choose between a grand jury or a preliminary hearing. Now, you hear about preliminary hearings all the time because most cases, all cases have to have a preliminary hearing, regardless if it's a felony or not.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the common terms that you're hearing if you're following true crime or you're just interested in what's going on in your society and in your community when people have committed crimes. You're going to hear the word preliminary hearing. Anybody that's been arrested for any crime is going to have a preliminary hearing. And so here you go. Some states like Florida require grand juries for capital crimes. So you'd have to look it up in your state and what case that you're following or cases you're interested in if you don't live in that state, but look it up for that state. Like, for instance, Moscow, Idaho, and you're interested in following what happened to the 4 beautiful college students and they were unalived, and you're interested in that case. And there was a preliminary hearing for the arrested there, and then you can look up and read whatever they're allowing us to see. So the states have their own rules. Some states require grand juries for all felonies. Others allow the prosecutors to choose between a grand jury or a preliminary hearing. So the purpose of the grand juries serve as a check on the power of the prosecutor. And that, I think most of you know that. And that's a good thing, right? We want checks and balances in our system against unwarranted prosecutions. Now, in most of our opinions, the Karen Reed jury should have come back with, you don't have enough. This cannot go to a jury trial. This cannot go to trial. You need to this case should be dropped. But that's not what happened. But that's what most of us, 85% of America believes, that Karen Reed should not have been taken to trial, that there wasn't enough evidence to prove to a jury beyond a shadow of a doubt that she committed the crime that they were accusing her of and that they were arrested her for. So here's your alternatives to grand juries. In many states, particularly for less serious felonies and misdemeanors, prosecutors can proceed with the criminal case by filing information, a formal accusation, instead of seeking an indictment from a grand jury. So
that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah. So grand jury proceedings are conducted in secret, and we know all this, with the prosecutor presenting evidence to the jury. The jury is not allowed to talk about this case and not allowed to talk about what evidence they heard and what happened. And now we know with this, when is her hearing? Is that coming up?
It is August 4th at 2:30 at Joe Moakley Courthouse, federal courthouse, where on that day, she is going to plead guilty, and then we're going to see what's going to happen. And I think some shit's going to roll that day, but we'll see.
We'll see. But some of you know this already from following Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, but the defendant and their attorneys are not present during the grand jury. This is just the prosecutor presenting evidence to them. So Karen Reed was not there for her grand jury. Her attorneys were not there, and the defense is not allowed to present evidence or cross-examine witnesses. So even though it's a check on a check and balance of the prosecution, a grand jury is still heavily favored on the prosecution side, right?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, they have the burden of proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's why it's like, okay, well, if you have enough, we'll get you there. Now, again, some stuff seems thin, but see, this is why it's fantastic to have somebody who did this stuff for a living and knows. So you could say, like, hey, I didn't go to a grand jury for every single, ticket or arrest you made.
Right.
It's because of this. And that's a lot of sense.
We have a section in our police academy that covers the law and lawyers and trial and how to prep if you're called as a witness as a police officer and what the system is like. And, but it's been a while. I've been retired for a while, and laws can change because states have make their own laws about this. Now, one thing I do remember, though, is that another purpose for the grand jury, when it's not mandatory, some states do make it mandatory for felony cases, but in the states where it's not mandatory, another reason why a prosecutor may choose it over just a preliminary hearing is like what we just said, to weed out a weak case. Because you can get a little confirmation bias, right? When you're the prosecutor, and you may not realize that you have your own reasons for wanting to take this case to trial.
Yep.
So if you're trying to check and balance yourself, then you're going to want to say, let's go the grand jury route, because maybe they're going to set me straight and show me that there really isn't enough evidence to take this, to a trial. And so that's another reason why they may choose to go grand jury if they do have the choice, versus just preliminary hearing, is just to see if this case, weed out the weak
Yep.
cases. Yeah.
That was fantastic. Everybody hit the like button for Kat's explanation for that. That was fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Boston
Thank you.
Jules. Some of
Thank
it was old knowledge. Some of it was my handy, trusty legal site that my mother directed me to several years ago, because my mom used to be a paralegal investigator for the Department of Justice in Madison, Wisconsin. So she did some pretty heavy cases in her time and had to rely on the internet. Now, before the internet, people like my mom, who were paralegal investigators and prepared so much evidence for the trial lawyers, they had to rely on the good old fashioned paper system, right? Files, everything was on paper, witness statements, things were recorded on old fashioned recording systems and then transcribed by court reporters and transcribed after the witnesses were interviewed. Then everything is transcribed by these wonderful, even before, when I first got hired as a police officer, we didn't have much of the internet going on yet. You're talking about relying on good old fashioned paper reports, and interviews with witnesses were recorded. We didn't have body cam. A lot of places didn't have surveillance cameras up and running yet. They were too expensive. So you had to rely on eyewitnesses. Yep. So much has changed in law enforcement for getting facts and information and evidence against a person for the crime they committed. It's pretty unreal. So when we run across a case like Jason Veach, where had those surveillance cameras been turned on by the owner of that bar, this case would be over. There would be justice for him, because it would have all been there. They would have been able to see what happened and how what happened was over the top and egregious. And even if these people were just charged with misdemeanors and they got some type of punishment for his unaliving, never ever did his wife or me or anyone think that it was purposeful, or it was obviously not premeditated. But when you have an unaliving of someone and there's no justice and nobody pays for making mistakes, had that all been on a surveillance like it should have been, again, this case would have never gone to the extremes that it's gone to, and the family grief that they've had to endure. And that's true for a lot of crimes, that when the businesses aren't taking care of their surveillance cameras, there's no excuse for that in this day and age. We have all this technology for a reason, right? To protect people, to make sure that people aren't harmed in parking lots. And by the way, my car was broken into on my way home, on my way back to Madison after I lived in LA for a year, my last year of grad school at my Southern California. And yes, it hurts my soul that Lally, fellow Trojan, when we learned that Friday night, I just wanted to close my eyes. Kathy had already warned me, Kathy Coppins, that Lally was that came out, that he went to
a Trojan, a USC Trojan.
That hurts my heart. But
he's a man of Troy.
But I'm still a woman of Troy. That's where I got my master's. I lived there, went on campus weekly, daily sometimes. When I was leaving LA to come back to Wisconsin for a while, before I ended up back down here in Florida, my sister was going to fly to LA to help me drive home and just to give me company. But I said, no, don't do that. It's only 5 hours to Vegas. And I hadn't been to Vegas since I was a kid. My mom and I drove through there on my way to LA a year before, but we didn't stop. We didn't try to have any fun or go to a show or gamble or anything. So I said, meet me in Vegas. I can drive 5 hours by myself with the dog and the cat, and I'll be fine, and we'll see you there. So she was going to fly into Vegas, meet me. We were going to have a little fun for 24 hours. I'm not a gambler, but she enjoys it, and I enjoy watching her enjoy it. I enjoy the scenery of the beautiful casinos, and the shows are so cool. I wanted to go to a show. We had all these plans. So I get to Vegas. I'm staying at a La Quinta Inn and Suites. I'm about a mile off the big crazy zone, right? Because I wanted to be affordable. So I stayed about a mile off the strip. And it had good reviews. I pulled in. It was still light. I had my handicap ticket because of my bad neck and back, so I parked right by the front door of the hotel. I went in, brought my dog in with me. I left my car running, but locked it for my cat. Went in, got my room, came back out, decided, hey, I'm going to stay parked here because my room is just right there. I just have to go around the corner from my car into the door and I'm in. So I take the cat, the dog, and my purse. Now, I'm not sure why I took my purse. Normally, I'll just take my car keys, leave everything in my car, lock it, and take my pets into the air-conditioned or the heated room. They always go in first when they travel with me. So in I go with the dog, the cat. Luckily, I had my purse, and you'll see why in a second. I get in, I put the dog and the cat in, get their water bowls out, give them both water, go to the ladies' room myself, get a drink of water. It's like 100 freaking degrees. It's July in Vegas.
In the desert.
I'm maybe in the room 10 minutes, maybe. Okay. I go back to my car. I'm walking towards my car, parked right in between my door and the main door of this La Quinta Inn and Suites. And I see my back window looks open. And I'm like, what? Why is my back window open? I wouldn't have left my back window open. It's 100 degrees. And I'm looking closer. I'm like, holy shit. My back window's been punctured with one of those pen things. And it's all, the glass is all inside my car. There was no glass outside my car on the ground. It was all inside my car. And that's why it looked like it was open. And as I'm getting closer, I'm seeing this and I know what this is because I've had cases like that in the parking lots in Madison. And it's just this little tool where they just hit the center of your glass and it
breaks
explodes.
the safety glass. It breaks the safety glass.
And typically it blows inward. So I look in my car, there's glass everywhere. My car's someone's knocking on my door. Stand by a second. I'll be right back. Julie, just continue with anything for a minute.
You got it.
How do you file a case without reviewing the warrants? Because if the warrants are fucked, you don't have a case. And you can't just like vibe it. What are we doing?
What are we?
I don't
Remember how you met about the search warrant the first time?
In
other words, did he come to you or you go to him?
I don't know.
Okay. So you have a sit down.
Yes.
And you asked him for the search warrant. What did he say?
He will get them to me.
He will get them to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Trust me,
If
bro.
you tell him I have an obligation to turn this over because it's Rule 14 discovery, I need it right away. I've asked for it 5 times. What's the deal?
Those specific words, no, but the gist, yes.
Well, tell me what you said specifically.
I don't know.
remember.
Well, give me a best estimate of what you said. Trooper Proctor after you asked 5 times search warrants that he didn't turn
You
over.
got those warrants?
So
Where are
did
the
you keep any
warrants?
notes of your conversations with Trooper Proctor when you were asking for these 6 search warrants that he didn't give you?
No.
Why not?
It was something that I knew that was outstanding. It was something that I had asked for in written form numerous times. I didn't feel the need to write a note that I asked for it again.
He didn't feel
So that's the first sit down. Did you send emails after the first sit down saying, hey, you're promising you're going to send these 6 search warrants, I still don't have them?
You work in the same office.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the
Did you
question?
send another email to Trooper Proctor after you had the sit down sometime in December of 2021 saying, hey, you still didn't send those 6 search warrants, can you send them over?
Yes.
How far after Mr. King's arraignment in December of 2021 did you send that email to
He has no
Trooper
return,
Proctor?
sure.
I don't know.
Was it a year?
I don't think so, no.
What do you think? What's your best estimate of when you sent that
He doesn't
email
know.
after you sat down with Trooper Proctor?
I would say probably a few months later.
All right, a few months.
Yes.
So February, March of 2022, is that what you think it is?
I don't recall specifically.
So when you're in this room with Trooper Proctor asking about the 6 search warrants, do you ask him for his file? Like, give me your whole file so I can go
Yeah,
through
let me see it.
and figure out what's in it?
No.
Why not? You're there. There's outstanding discovery. You have the obligation, not the police officer. Why don't you ask?
I entrusted that whatever discovery I was requesting, I would get at some point in a timely fashion and then turn it over.
But you didn't get it. You asked for it 5 times.
But it's already not a timely fashion. I trusted I would get it in a timely fashion. It's almost a year later. Timely has fucking passed.
That ship has sailed.
He'll get it to me eventually. What? Also, from what we saw in the Karen Reed case, no, he fucking won't get it to you eventually.
Nope.
He'll just get it eventually. I'll just get it eventually. How are people out here doing their job like this?
Gets worse. Gets worse.
It'll be fine.
You didn't get it. You had to go see him. You have them right there now, and you still don't say, give me your file? Let me go through it?
No, I did not.
And when he says you'll get the search warrants, I'll send them to you. Did he have them? Did he have copies of the search warrant? Did he just want to give them to you?
That I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Well, you don't get the search warrants in any event after that sit down, and you send another email.
He's like, I'll get it eventually.
What's Trooper Proctor's response to that email?
Again, I don't know that I sent another email, but I know that there were subsequent conversations about it. Whether it was what format it was in, I don't know.
Okay, and at this point, you have to be getting a little upset with Trooper Proctor that you're asking for information he's not giving you, right?
Objection. Overruled.
I'm sorry, your question again?
You have to be getting a little upset at Trooper Proctor that you're asking him for information that he's not giving you, right?
Ma'am, I don't think he gets upset. I think he gets paid the same way no matter what. He's like, it's 4. See you guys tomorrow. I don't think he gets upset. I think he's like, it's fine. The judges in Massachusetts need to start fucking fining people. They need to start throwing out cases and fining people. It's the only way it's going to change. You need to start fining the DA's office. Monetary fines. Report to the bar fines for not turning over discovery. Because if this can go on for years with no teeth or consequences, the defense bar must be losing their minds. Or the defense bar is glad that this is finally all coming forward so that other judges see what a problem this is. Because if the defense is saying the discovery hasn't been turned over for years, these hearings shouldn't take 4 years to happen. And if the DA is saying, Your Honor, law enforcement's not giving it to me, fine, let's have a hearing. Put their butt in the seat and tell me where the fuck it is. Put law enforcement in the seat and tell me where it is. And then find the DA's office. Once attorneys have to start reporting themselves to the bar, I imagine the conversations they have with law enforcement will change. But if that doesn't, if in the Koberger case, for example, the DA was saying that they were having trouble getting things from the FBI.
The FBI!
And the court said, do you need a court order or do you want a hearing? And the DA said, give us like a month and then maybe. Because if you're not being responded to, the court will help you. Your Honor, give me a court order and a subpoena. Bring them in, they can explain it to you. I've asked, this is when I've asked. Do it, let's go. But until the judges throw the hammer down, and not all judges want to, but until the judges throw the hammer down, even if it's not the DA on that case's fault, it doesn't matter because it is their fault. It's your responsibility. And if the DA who threw the case on your desk before you didn't do it, it's still your responsibility because now your name's on the file. And the only way the culture is going to change is if the judges throw it down. This hearing is happening after 2021. However, the defense attorneys, it seems, now have their work cut out for them to review their cases and their cases that they have on appeal. And so the courts are going to get real busy. You know what judges don't like? When their courts get real busy. The courts are going to get real busy with, hey, it's time to take a look at this. And the defense attorneys, I'm sure they already are just going to file motion after motion after motion and hold everybody's feet to the fire. Because if this is what's going on, we're way more than a non-zero. If this is what's going on in the cases we're seeing, what's going on in every other case? The defense bar should just start throwing paper at every single fucking case, which is a lot of work. And the judges will get annoyed, but too bad. If the discovery gets turned over, it stops. This is crazy. This is just basic.
Right? She is 1,000% correct. And again, like math, come from math and science background. I don't do this, but I live here. And what she is saying, again, somebody who has done this job, not here in Commonwealth of Massachusetts or Norfolk County, but somebody who has done this job as an assistant DA in a very, very, very large city in a very large county, saying, yes, what's happening right here needs to happen. This should not be the case. This should not be the norm. It should not be so loose. Like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I guess, whatever. Like, this should not happen. And her remedy for this, for all of this, is to bring them in to exactly what's happening right now. And just like you're saying, like, unless this stuff happens more often, it's just going to continue. So the fact that this is happening right now, we have eyes on it. And, God bless Emily for going through this and sitting here and telling and speaking to it as a former ADA, saying, hey, this is what I see. And having done the job, this is what needs to happen here. And somebody who is a resident of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, like, yes, this needs to happen, because what's going to happen is, again, Rosemary Scapicchio is a defense attorney who is defending a client, defendant in a case who is a defendant in a murder case where he's being accused of murdering somebody. And if this, continues, this could potentially be dismissed. Some evidence could be, suppressed, and it could not be brought in. And as a result, this case could be dismissed, which means that this person will be on the street. And more cases, Brian Walsh, his case, stuff could be suppressed and it could be dismissed. He could be on the streets. And so people, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are going to basically suffer with this by saying, like, we have somebody who, the evidence, points to this person, and we brought them in to, be prosecuted and held accountable the court of law. But, we just dropped the ball because, we sent an email and, we'll get to it eventually. We'll get to it eventually. Like, no, he could be on the street and residents are going to suffer. So until we get more eyes on this and we press people to say, hey, this cannot happen. Right. Shit needs to change, and she's absolutely 100% right. Like, this needs to be exposed, and they need to do more of this. And
you're totally right, Julie. I mean, she's right, and you're right. And it's not just about when it's nefarious activities that when the person is accused and most people don't believe they did it and that they're being wrongfully accused, but it can also happen with someone who actually did do it. Mm-hmm. And then this type of lazy lally, as MCAT, let me put that back up there, as MCAT put it, lazy lally, or just being very bad at his job. It's not always laziness. Some people are just bad at their jobs. And then a person walks free. And then Proctor and Bukaki being bad at their jobs by not writing police reports in a timely fashion. I mean, that's completely against police protocol. When you are assigned to a case, so here's how it goes. Police officers are out in your communities, and most of them are in their squad cars, and they're patrolling through your communities. And that's what they do. They're patrol officers. That's what I did. I was never a detective. I was later on a community officer, but I was also a patrol officer. I did both roles. But in the beginning, just patrol officer. And many choose to spend their whole careers just as a patrol officer. And I say just as because they choose not to get promoted for whatever reasons. They don't want to be a sergeant or lieutenant or a captain. No, go lay down. They don't want that role, and they enjoy the community connection. They enjoy being patrol officers in their community, serving their communities. So you're out there, you signed in, you checked in for the day, you went to briefing, you get your squad car, you check out your squad car, you make sure everything's fine with it. You log on to your computer in your car, and out you go, out into the area. Now, every police department does it differently. Some cities have districts where they'll assign you a number. You might be a different district on a different day, or you might always be District 1. It just depends. Every police department, every sheriff's department is different. Where I worked, we were just literally like districts. So we were District 1, District 2, District 3, and you could be different. It wouldn't matter. Whatever day you came on duty, they might assign you to District 1 versus District 2 or Area 1, Area 2. So you're out there and you're in your area and you're driving in your squad car patrolling, and a call comes in. First call of your shift. And it goes to you. So you recognize that you got the call. You acknowledge to dispatch that you're on your way. They send you the address. They tell you if they're requiring you to have backup. Some calls require backup. Some calls are officer discretion backup. Some calls are just one squad car. That's it, just one officer. So you go to your call. Come here, Tanner. You go to your call, and when you're there, you mark yourself out. Like, I am out now. I'm out of my squad car. Everything you do as a police officer, every step you take, every bathroom break, every lunch break, every small talk you might make has to be documented for your safety. So you always have to tell dispatch where you are and what you're doing. If you're in your car, out of your car. So then after you take the call, you investigate, you do your thing, you call a backup if you need it, maybe you didn't need it, and you mark yourself back in your car. And then if you have time, if you're not already being sent to another call, you can start working on your police report right in your squad car. Even back in the 90s, we had the CAD system. We had little tiny computers in our cars. Most of us dictated our police reports into a little handheld device, right? Those were called little tape recorders back in the day, kids. Those of you that aren't boomers. So if you had a down minute, you could go park somewhere safely. I used to park where people could see me, so in case they needed me, or where I could monitor traffic, and I'd start working on my police reports for the day. in our department, you don't go home until your police report's turned in, because any information you need later or that comes out a day or two later, then you write what's called a supplement to the original police report. So there is utterly zero excuse for these bad excuses of police officers, Proctor, Buchanan, whoever else in Canton and state police don't seem to think that writing a police report in a timely manner matters. It does matter, and it's protocol in any police department I've ever had friends on or that I've known of. So you guys don't really realize, I don't think, how egregious this is, that these police reports were not written in a timely manner and then supplements done after the fact with whatever else was going on regarding the original case number. So does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, 100% here. I mean, again, here it's, I mean, we're so desensitized. I mean, I gave the example of, walking down the street and every 3 times I pass a certain house, I get punched in the head.
Julie, sorry to interrupt, but don't hate me. I didn't get my pizza on Friday Night Live, so my son ordered me a pizza. That was the knock on the door.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, we'll play some of this. We'll play some more, and then I'll ask you some more questions.
How do you grand jury a case if you don't have the discovery?
Frustrated, probably.
Oh, he said he was frustrated. He's like, I was probably a little frustrated. Sure.
That's super Proctor, that you're asking him for information that he's not giving you, right?
I was a little annoyed. I was missed.
Upset, frustrated, probably.
Sorry?
Frustrated, probably.
Judge, can we put sidebar just briefly?
Sure.
Sidebar?
You still don't have the 6 search. In any event, ADA Lally, a couple of months goes by, you still don't have the 6 search warrants. What do you do?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, I'm specific to the 6 search warrants. I don't recall, as far as there was a topic that was discussed repeatedly. Obviously, I never received them because I never provided them to you or to Ms. Costa.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is you knew they existed, and you knew that, let me say, you knew that all 6 search warrants existed. Is that right?
Yes, we went through all six of the.
He's like, IDK, don't go to grand jury until you have it in your hand. Then guess what? If you want grand jury a case until it's in your hand, then it gets stuck on the cop's desk. Why haven't you made an arrest? Why hasn't it gone to grand jury? Well, the DA won't grand jury it until they have all my shit. Okay, don't grand jury it until you have all their shit.
The search warrants on the last day of the grand jury presentation on November 19th, 2020.
I'm going to back up to that answer. I mean, that's there. It's not hard to hold people's feet to the fire in this. You have it or you don't.
Pause for just a second, Jules.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. So let's get this straight, right? How do you go to a grand jury? And we just got done going over why we even go to the grand jury. It's required in some states it's not, but it's used to determine if the case is weak. How do you freaking go to a grand jury if you don't have all the search warrants?
Yep.
And you don't even have a complete search warrant. You have 2 incomplete search warrants out of 6 search warrants. Explain this, Lally. And this is why I think what you said, Julie, is Emily's about to get more and more irritated and aggravated as we go here, right?
It's going to go up. Yep, it's going to go up. I mean, it gets worse.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say
No, please interrupt away, because I mean, like I said, I'm just watching this as somebody who is here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and is used to the fuckery. But you did this job and you're looking at this and like befuddled, like what the hell is going on? You know, like from the police officer's point of view.
And it's super disrespectful to the police officer as well. Let's just say when they do a good job and they do the evidence and like you showed us at the beginning of tonight, where they brought in that CSI looking type truck, right? And you showed us how a crime scene is supposed to be handled. When they don't handle it that way, when they do handle it that way, and then the DA and the prosecutor F you over and don't take your case seriously and don't take it to a grand jury and don't get it to trial, there's that side of the aisle too.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you do all that work and then they drop the ball and go, oh, ho-hum, dismissed. Right. You're going to get pissed off.
Right.
Yep, 100.
I guess what I'm saying is you knew they existed, and you knew that, let me say, you knew that all 6 search warrants existed. Is that right?
Yes, we went through all six of the search warrants on the last day of the grand jury presentation on November 19th, 2021. If that's in the grand jury minutes, as far as going through each of the materials, each of the search warrants. that there were search warrants, how the material was obtained, and the material that was returned in response to 3 of the search warrants was marked as grand jury exhibits 33, 34, and 35.
You went through all 6 search warrants the last day of the grand jury on November 19th, 2021. And you still didn't have them in your hand and turn them over by December? Like, by December is generous. But, like, your officer has them. Where are your grand juries? I mean, they're not on fucking Mars. Go back to the office with at least a photocopier, which I'm sure your office has. Put that shit on the copier and make 3 copies of it. And then give it to the defense at arraignment in December. The arraignment's in December
of 2021.
What?
Ladies, mix pink salt, lemon, 2 fridge door ingredients, and get ready to turn heads with your summer body. Today, I'm
Right, but not the search warrant.
Correct. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry.
Information in front of the grand jury about 6 search warrants that you hadn't seen, and you put returns or information that had been returned in front of the grand jury on search warrants you had never seen.
So, with
Sounds like it. That sounds like
I'm
it.
trying to. So, with regard to those,
Don't get snappy at the defense attorney. She asked the reasonable question. She has every right to be pissed. Don't get snappy at her like she's overreacting. You're underreacting. You put information from search warrant returns in front of a grand jury and you had never seen the search warrant. That's exactly what she asked.
I love what Emily just said. You're underreacting. And if you're listening closely, everyone, his demeanor, his voice throughout this entire segment that we've been showing, he has like 0 emotion in his voice. He sounds bored. He sounds like we're wasting his time, or that the judge and the defense are wasting his time. He sounds kind of like a petulant child at times. It's just embarrassing. And MCAT put up here, and I put it up a minute ago, I'm going to put it up again. Lally doesn't track anything. He doesn't even know he is missing documentation. He needs to be fired. Yeah, if there's ever grounds for firing somebody, Proctor, Buchanan, Lally, Tully, I mean, come on, right? Maybe Fanning, we'll see with the Sandra Birchmore case, but come on, people. If there's grounds for firing, this is it. But this is what police departments are historical for. And one of my supervisors used to call it hiding the bodies. So a chief never wants to admit that they effed up, that they allowed their lieutenants and their sergeants to continue to basically hide from them what this person was doing. Because that happens a lot in police and sheriff departments. The sheriffs and the chiefs don't really know a lot of everything that's going on because the sergeants and lieutenants will cover for their favorites. And some of them are sergeants and lieutenants. And then when the chief gets wind of it, it's embarrassing that this has been going on for this long. And they don't want that to go out into the community, out into the public. So they'll just demote the person, or they'll lateral transfer them and then get them out of they won't allow them to supervise anymore, or they won't allow them to investigate cases anymore or write police reports anymore. They'll put them in some type of a desk job. And that happens all the time. So people do these, these employees do these acts and they don't get fired because the police chief and the sheriffs, they want to keep up their image. So anytime a police officer is fired, 9 times out of 10, it makes the media. And they don't want that. So I agree with you. He should be fired. Proctor absolutely should have been fired. Buchanan should be fired. So many more of these ridiculous so-called police officers, so-called Massachusetts State Police, of what you guys have all endured in your state throughout numerous cases. Mm-hmm. So many more people need to be gone from law enforcement. And then, like with Sandra Birchmore and the 4, I call them, the dirty 4, they all need to be decertified. Like, obviously, Matthew Farrell's in jail, but his brother's not in jail. Heil's not in jail. Devane's not in jail. Why did these guys have even close to a semblance of a license to practice as a law enforcement officer?
Well, it seems like we're getting there with some of them. I mean, was it Heel, the school resource officer in Abington, and I think he was a former cop in Stoughton. Right. He had his hearing, and I mean, I saw it, and I mean, my read was like they're just like, okay, why don't you have this? Okay, why don't you have this? Okay, let's make another date. But Mizzy said that it sounds like they're going because this was only the second hearing for Heel, and it sounds like he wants to she said something like, it sounds like he wants to admit to something, but he doesn't want to admit to everything, but he needs to be decertified. So like, I guess that he wants to like voluntarily give up his certification, but she's concerned like, well, we need to make sure that this is permanent, not like, oh, we'll give it up and then 6 months later he applies again. So
right, because he left. You're right on about that. He left Stoughton after all this came out, and he got hired by another department.
Yeah, Abington. Yeah,
right,
yeah. Right. At a school of all places. So
right,
yeah. So that's happening. There's another one. I think she said that Divine already had 5, and I mean every single time he looks like he's in his basement or something, like doing God knows what, but he like so disinterested, he scoffs at the computer. So
it actually looks like he's in a man cave to me. Like he's got like a he shed out in the backyard of his house and he's in some kind of man cave. That's what it looks like.
He was in a basement, like building nefarious things. but
he's a human. So we'll do an update. Maybe Mizzy's really busy, but we'll try to have her back. If not, I'll try to get some updates from her and bring you guys some more updates.
So she wasn't able to sit down with Sergeant Peter Murphy of retired at Canton PD. She was going to sit down with him because she said there's updates, but I don't think that they talked about it yet. So I don't think that there's much until Mizzy does her show with him to talk about it. Plus, this is stuff federally, so
we'll keep an eye on that. And then we've got Farwell's hearing. It's just hard to imagine that this guy's been in jail for a year with all the evidence they have against him, and there's been no hearings. It's crazy.
Well, hopefully stuff's going on in the background. So fingers crossed. So I think that's the case. But I mean,
there have to be? Because look what happened to this guy. He's been in jail 4 freaking years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. He was on bail. He had a bail. It was either $1 million or $10 million bail. Like it was something ridiculous. And then they got it reduced. And then this time they got it reduced to $10,000. And now he's out. And it's scary. Like Turtle wrote, again, Turtle does turtle things, but he wrote an article that showed like, that he got out and the first thing he did was take pictures of himself with money. And I think he did a music video with firearms. I don't know if that's recent or that's old, but like he was doing stuff that, like, again, it's a free country but yeah, whatever the case may be. So yeah, like he's out, and like again, this isn't supposed to, like, he should have already gone to trial, and he should have already, the jury has already should have made a decision.
Like you were saying a little earlier, if he did schmurder this person, I like your use of the S in front of the M word.
Schmurder sharks.
If he did schmurder this person, then we want him to go to trial and be convicted by a jury of his peers and go to jail. For unaliving another human being, but he's still entitled to his rights, like you were talking about, his Fifth Amendment and his 8th Amendment rights, and he's still entitled to a fair trial by a jury of his peers, and he's entitled not to have Lally and Proctor and Buchanan and whoever else fuck him up. Right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, and I mean, as a result, I mean, like again, in no way whatsoever, I don't care what other people say, in no way whatsoever are we or anybody in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with a brain on their shoulder are advocating saying, let this person free. No, we want due process under the law, and to what Massachusetts I forget what the Massachusetts Bill of Rights is, but it's the Massachusetts Bill of Rights and then the U.S. Bill of Rights that tells us, hey, we have this constitutional right, and we have, as Massachusetts residents, we have, a little bit more protection. We want this done. There's stuff here. Do it. You have people here. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on.
Okay.
As Bev says, let's move on.
What you did.
Let's move on.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44. Complete.
Correct, but not the first one.
Correct. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry.
Information in front of the grand jury about 6 search warrants that you hadn't seen, and you put returns or information that had been returned in front of the grand jury on search warrants you had never seen.
So with and I'm trying to. So with regard to those 3 search warrants, that was 306, 307, and 329, which were the call detail records for your client, the victim, Mr. Simmons, and Mr. Jeanette. The materials also that came back from the cell phone providers also contained a copy of the warrant, as well as the addendum to the warrant, which was then also provided to you in Ms. Costa in discovery.
but not the warrants themselves.
Roosevelt?
No, the warrants themselves and the addendums, not the application and not the affidavit.
Right. So you understand that in order to make
You can't make a motion if you don't have the warrant and the affidavit, though. It doesn't matter if you just have the addendum.
a determination as to whether or not you're going to suppress certain information, you actually need what you asked for and what you, in the affidavit that told the clerk magistrate why you had.
Hillary was like, why are we doing this? Because we like pain. Because the law does.
Pretty much.
They'll ask if we would go over this. Because again, I said the entire Reed trial, this shouldn't be happening.
See?
And now we are seeing how deep it goes with discovery not being turned over. This isn't how this is supposed to work. And a lot of you wanted a prosecutor's perspective on what is supposed to happen on the other side of this case when you're the prosecutor. And once I stop buffering, I hope to explain, but it doesn't seem like the ball was dropped on a case. It seems, and I'm sure if anyone who works with hundreds, if not more cases, there will be cases where stuff goes sideways. It will happen. But when it is the exception, well, then the case gets dismissed generally if shit goes that sideways. But it seems like we never had a ball. Like, we don't even like have a floaty. This seems to just be the way it is.
See?
This doesn't seem to be a, oh, shit went sideways in the Reed case. It seems that this is how cases are handled, which is baffling.
She just said it.
Because the rules don't seem to mean anything. And if the judges aren't throwing down consequences, which I think they should start to do if they haven't, then you have people sitting in jail for 4 years plus waiting for a case to go to trial, and their defense attorneys don't even have all the discovery. Which means that people who commit crimes and should be separated from society for a bit aren't going to be.
See?
But people who shouldn't be in custody because the search warrants weren't proper or the case is super weak or it shouldn't have been filed sit in custody forever waiting for that to be sorted out too, which shouldn't happen. It's bananas. And the defense attorneys, I'm sure, have been screaming this in court for years, feeling like they're banging their head against the wall. Because these are not...
Julie,
these
pause
are not...
for just a sec.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Yeah, we both agree with everything Emily's saying, and I know our friend zone does too. And those of you on replay, I know you're all shaking your heads. But here's the thing too that's so egregious is that we're not new at this, right? In the United States of America, we've been holding trials since how long? What date?
Think what?
And now we have, come here, Tanner. And now we have all this technology at our disposal. And this is the example that we're giving. And like she just said, it doesn't seem like Massachusetts and many other states that we don't even know about because the cases don't make mainstream media. So we don't even know they exist unless we meet people like Ed Byers. I mean, what happened in Clark County, Indiana was not national news, was definitely not world news, but it should have been. It was, nobody died, but people did die. People died behind the scenes because of what this man did. People who didn't get their ambulances in time died in their homes or where they had their accidents because of what he did by cutting the budget so he could line his own pockets for how many ambulances and how many first responders were in his county. So, but these cases don't make mainstream media because they're not sexy enough. They're not sexy enough for the public. So much is going on that we don't even know about. And it's happening in other communities as well. There's many more Lallies out there.
They're apprised of what's been at least asked for.
And did you do that in this case? Did you send my motion for discovery to Trooper Proctor, to the Milton Police, to the crime lab, to the medical examiner's office? Did you send it to all of those entities?
Every motion that you filed, yes.
Okay. And then what do you do to follow up with each of those entities? Let's start with the state.
All right, so we fast forward a little bit. So now she's talking about, or now she's asking about, like, okay, you don't do anything with the stuff that you do. What about the stuff that I asked for, requested, and sent to your office? And let's see what Lau has to say about that.
Please. They get a copy of my discovery motion.
Then what happens?
You're looking for all of the evidence that they have, and specifically these 6 search warrants that, for whatever reason, Trooper Proctor hasn't given you. When you follow up, how long does it take you to follow up from the time you give them the motion until you get an answer from them?
Specifically, I don't know. Typically, I would give it a couple of weeks or so.
And after a couple, in this case, did you give it a couple?
I missed that. Specifically, I don't know.
Weeks, you think?
Probably.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then I'll follow up again.
When you say follow up, do you send another email or do you get in your car and drive down there and say, we got to end this, give me the stuff?
If they're if they work in the Norfolk DA's office, isn't your lead investigator there? And isn't your lead investigator the one you go to? And well, in this case, it was Proctor, and say, hey, this other department hasn't gotten my shit. Can you get in a car and go down there and have them physically hand it to you? Please? Thanks.
Jesus Christ.
I would email or a phone call.
Okay. And so did you email a phone call, make a phone call to Trooper Proctor in this case?
I'm sure I did.
And what was his response?
I don't
He
recall.
asked for the 6 search warrants.
He knows he doesn't recall.
I don't recall.
He's like, what I know is I don't know.
Well, do you have any notes of your conversation with him? Remember you taking notes?
I don't believe so, no.
Is there a reason that you didn't take notes when you spoke to Trooper Proctor after these search warrants had become an issue? That you wouldn't take notes of what Trooper Proctor told you about the search warrants?
So you're asking me about a conversation that I don't recall specifically when it happened or exactly what was said. So whether or not I took notes for that conversation, I don't know. What I would do typically in my general practice is to follow up with whoever I had outstanding discovery requests in relation to try to get whatever information that I was seeking.
Okay, and so did you follow up with Trooper Proctor about the 6 search warrants?
I'm sure I did, amongst probably a number of other items.
Okay, and then you knew the case was going in for another date on discovery, right?
Yes.
And you knew you'd have to answer to the court what you've provided and what's outstanding. Isn't that typically how it goes on discovery dates?
Yes.
Did you ever tell the court, geez, I have these 6 search warrants that Trooper Proctor has, I can't get my hands on them, can you issue an order or can you help me out here?
Did I do that? No.
Why?
So when you went to court, do you remember representing to the court that discovery was ongoing and that you were producing as much information as you could? Remember that?
Typically, that's what I would say if that was the case, yes.
Okay, but you knew when you represented that to the court that you didn't have the search warrants, right?
Yes.
So what was your plan? How are you going to get them?
As I stated, what my practice would be if there was some outstanding item of discovery, I would request it and follow up if I hadn't received it.
I'll just ask until it magically
appears. You requested it 5 times. You went to see him. Then you got my discovery motion. You sent that to him. You waited another month. And then what happened?
I don't recall.
Well, don't you tell him, get me these things now. I'm coming down your office?
Objection. Overruled.
Did I ever tell him that? No.
I mean, something along those lines,
So
no.
what do you do when he's not complying with your request?
Overruled. Oh my God, that's a phrase we hardly ever heard in the Karen Reed trial. Overruled. I love it.
Well, she would say, can you answer that? Did you do that? Are you sure? Okay, let's move on. That was Bev. I miss Bev.
What's the policy in the office of the district attorney's
I miss Bev too.
I miss Bev. I was watching something. I
No,
forget what it was.
no, Julie, I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Okay. Good morning, jurors. Did you sleep well? I love you. Mwah. I miss Bev. Bev, come back.
Probably isn't one.
When a state trooper is not complying with a request for discovery.
Objection.
There probably isn't a policy.
Overruled if there is a policy.
What's the policy?
I don't know any specific policy related to that.
Okay. So you go to your supervisor then and say, hey, I've asked Trooper Proctor 5, 6, 7 times for these search warrants. I've been down to see him in person at least once.
Now we're going to talk about Lal's supervisor, or I'm sorry, was that Lal's supervisor or was that Proctor supervisor Tully? I think he said Lal's supervisor, right? I'm sorry, I think she said that.
He's not giving them to me. What do I do?
No.
Did you ever have another case other than Mr. King and Ms. Gardner's case where a state trooper didn't give you search warrants that you had been asking for since before indictment?
Objection. Over.
Not that I recall, no.
Okay.
Really? You've never had another case where discovery has lingered and you haven't gotten search warrants? She narrowed it down to search warrants.
Or 6, or at least 1.
Really?
Right.
Hard to believe.
Your Honor, may I be heard on one slight issue? The discovery that the discovery request that counsel is speaking to, I don't believe that it was ever docketed. I don't have a copy of it. I've never seen it. So
the motion, the motion.
The motion for discovery was filed. He got
it may not have reached.
So now it's Rose fault.
I want to make sure that you see it, though. Let's make sure
I'm speaking about it a lot here. And
No.
I've never seen it.
Attorney Scapiccio, can you just give it to Mr. McGee for a second?
Sure. You think it would be in the file?
I would think it would be in the file. Is that a clean copy?
That is a clean copy, Judge.
Can we mark that? Should we mark it?
The judge is like, I would think these requests would be in the file. Yeah, they should be.
Oh, they're not signed. All right. So let me get you a signed copy, Judge.
I don't know what was.
The bottom line is this witness said he received it, Judge. I know I wouldn't have not filed it. We talked about it in the hearing. And I think there is a transcript, Judge, of a hearing where we talked about the discovery motion. The court had it.
All right, we'll figure that out.
Even Madam Court Reporter is.
We do have a. ADA Hickman did have a copy.
You do have a copy.
I never saw it on the docket. I was working right out the docket.
Okay.
Good question, Sheldon.
And just so the record is clear, we have marked it. You want it marked as Exhibit 1 in this hearing?
Yes, sir.
Sure. All right.
Okay, with signed copy.
All right. That will be Exhibit 1.
Thank you.
Look at her face. Look at her face right here. She's
And
like,
also, some court judge like to mark the pre-trial conference report in this case.
It should be. The court should have it.
shaking her head. Like, I don't know.
So this had never happened to you before, Attorney Rowley, and you didn't go to Lynn Beeman, who was your supervisor, and ask her what to do. What was your plan? How were you going to follow?
I don't recall specifically having a plan. If there was a situation where I was asking
ask again, was his plan?
a trooper or a case officer for something and I had not yet received it, I might get that person's supervisor involved as far as saying I've asked for this a few times, I don't have it.
Okay, so let's stop there. Trooper Tully was Trooper Proctor's supervisor, is that right?
It's not your job to protect state troopers. That's not your job. You're not their lawyer. You're not their in-house counsel. It is not your job to protect them. It is your job to do your job as a prosecutor, which means
correct.
Adhering to the rights of the defendant while protecting the public.
Yep. Yep.
You can't do that if you're not turning over to discovery. It's not your job to not hurt the state trooper's feelings.
Question here, Julie.
And of course, the supervisor is Tully.
Hang on 1 second. Yes, ma'am.
TikTok has a new feed, focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Can't hear you. We got to wait for that.
These are people not just explaining ordinary science that you get in a textbook. They're reaching out for the frontier.
Pause that. Quiet.
If you're missing 5 or more teeth,
1 second.
this might be the most
Let's get through
important
this
30
one
seconds of your day. There's finally a...
Because I don't want to go through more.
You grand juried the case. How are you not?
Sometimes they put more stuff in there. Okay. Sean has a question. How did he go to the grand jury with a clear head? Didn't the jurors ask about it? At least one of the 12. Well, I think there's 23 on a grand jury, but yeah, you would think. I mean, that's kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier, saying Kat could talk about this a little bit more, saying, how do you get there? What happens in the process of warrants? And that's what you and I were talking about earlier, saying like, hey, you worked in a police department. Have you ever seen a case where the ADA basically beats down the door and was like, hey, give me this? Or have you ever seen a case where an officer sits there and is like, yeah, I'm just going to put this on my desk and we'll see.
And it should never get there because there, again, checks and balances within your own department. Everybody's got a supervisor. Even the chief of police has a supervisor. So this should never have gone this far. Right. This should never have gone this far. Somebody should have Lally's supervisor, who would obviously be Morrissey. There should be meetings that Lally goes to where Morrissey's saying, okay, give me the updates on your cases. Where are you with this one? Where are you with that one? Any problems? What do you got on the, what's on your spreadsheet? What's missing? Update me. They should be having those type of meetings. So that should have happened. And then Proctor, on the other side of it, Lally should have gone to Proctor's superior and said, hey, we've got a problem here. I've asked for these 6 warrants dozens of times now over the course of the last X amount of months. That should happen. It didn't happen. So you had supervisory checks and balances not happening on either side of this issue with Proctor and with Lally. And that's a problem. And that doesn't happen that often in a well-run police department, because you purposely have all these checks and balances. You have these supervisory meetings where you go over your cases, whether you're a detective or you're a sheriff's detective, with your supervisor for updates on your cases and how you're doing and are you having any problems. And this whole situation with Proctor and Lally went completely unsupervised on both ends. It's just unacceptable.
It seems like there is little to no supervision where it's just like, oh, well, we'll get it done eventually. If anybody has any questions, F them because we're in charge. They're the Alexander Haig of this whole entire situation, right? They might not be the ultimate boss, but they're a boss, just like Alexander Haig in the Reagan administration.
Exactly.
Anyway,
hey, welcome to the friend zone, Vermont. Brett.
Vermont.
Great to see you back. Yeah, Tully was Proctor's boss. Exactly.
Yep. Oh, we're going to get to that. Yep. That's what she's talking about.
MCAT says no conscience, no integrity. It's on display. How can Lally walk into work the day after this testimony? Exactly.
You would think.
Also buffering, because it's like, how is it this bad? What happened from arraignment through court with all the discovery motions? I get where the defense attorney's at. The defense attorneys are like, are you fucking joking me? How is this bad? And the court is like, he didn't have them. He doesn't know. What happens from November 19th, 2021 forward?
When do you realize that you never turned over the search warrants? When do you realize that?
As far as the 2021?
When did you get the search warrant in your custody?
In my custody?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify, she's been going for over an hour and is literally asking him the same questions over and over and over again, saying, where are these? Why did you not do follow-up? Why is it taking so long? And he's giving the same thing, like, I don't know. Yeah, I sent an email. I called. So.
I would say probably I became aware of it a month ago.
In 2025?
Yes.
July of 2025.
You grand juried the case. How are you not aware of search warrants?
Here we go.
You said there were 6.
This is for you, Sean.
What does that answer even mean? I became aware a month ago. When did you turn the case over to the other DA?
Oh, this is a good question.
You knew there were 6 search warrants when you grand juried the case in November of 2021. When did the case go to a different DA? Because he's not still the DA on this case. So I have grace from the time he was off the case till now. But when was he off the case? Because at that point, he should have known that there were no search warrants turned over. This is bananas. But I want to know when he handed off the case.
June of 2025.
Yes.
Is the first time you became aware that you didn't turn over the search warrant?
Yes, if I had been aware earlier, then I would have turned over the search warrants.
But you had your list, right?
That's so.
You had your list that said 6 search warrants outstanding, right?
Yes.
You didn't ever check that off, right?
No.
So you knew they were outstanding, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then when did they get to your file?
Look at her face.
Again, so as far as my file, they did not. Again, I became aware of it after the case had been transferred from myself to ADA Hickman.
When was
Let's
that?
talk about that. What date was the case transferred from you to ADA Hickman?
Oh,
You're being lazy about cleaning your apartment. No,
it.
seriously. Home Aglow will clean it for just $9. Home Aglow washes and folds your laundry.
I think probably somewhere in October or November of 2024.
2024?
Yes.
And how does the case, let me say in general, how does the case get transferred?
You grand juried the case in November 2021. You turned the case over in November 2024 and the search warrants hadn't been turned over then?
And this is when Emily's brain broke because of what she just saw and heard.
What? How? Also, how did a court, because I'm sure the defense attorney was in court every single time going, but Your Honor, we still don't have discovery. How did this hearing not happen a year in? If you don't have the search warrants that were at the grand jury a year in, how are you not having this hearing? 6 months in, how are you not having this hearing? How is no one afraid of these judges? There seems to be no concern at all. Y'all need to start finding people. What are we doing? Because some of this, if the defense attorneys are saying, and I'm sure that they are over and over and over again, I don't have. At what point does the judge turn to the district attorney and say, get your officer in here and explain to me where this is? Or I am fining your office $5,000 and you can report yourself to the bar.
This point.
Why is that taking 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
From one DA, is there a policy within the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office of what needs to get done to transfer a file?
No policy, no.
Okay. So what did you do in this case with Mr. King and Mr. Gardner to ensure that your complete file got in the hands of ADA Hickman?
I
physically took the physical file from my office to ADA Hickman's office.
Okay. Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
And did you tell her, hey, there's 6 search warrants that I was never able to get from Cooper Proctor?
Again, if I had known or remembered that the 6 search warrants were still outstanding, then I would have got them and provided them. So no, I did not reference that specifically.
But then at some point, ADA Hickman has to come back to you and say, did you not turn over these 6 search warrants? Say that to you?
No.
She never did?
Nope.
Did you ever have a conversation with ADA Hickman about the outstanding 6 search warrants?
Not until recently, no.
Okay. And what transpired?
Objection. Sustained.
Well,
the sighing.
When you told the court that discovery was almost complete, did you know when you made that representation that the 6 search warrants were still outstanding?
Objection.
I don't know what time frame we're talking about.
I also, as I've stated in my
And he's still sighing.
in my opposition, I've reviewed the FDRs on this. from December and February and the other dates in 2025.
Like, how do you just not care?
So, and then December,
that's why I want a date.
and October as well, when Your Honor set this for trial. Thank you.
Skip ahead a little bit. Oh, wait, go on, see Roe.
Unless there is an
Look
Procedure 36.
How upset Roe is.
Massachusetts Criminal Rule of Procedure 36. Unless Rule 36 has been overturned by case law, which I don't see. Criminal Rules of Procedure 36. 1 year. Unless there is an exception.
January 24, 2024. And now you look on page 5. And Ellie, read that at the bottom of page 5 to yourself and the top of page 6.
Oh, then you read.
In some cases, it's 2 years, though. There is a provision for 2 years.
I know it's a long time here. We have.
Does that refresh your memory as to whether or not in January 2024 you told this court?
Good night, MCAT. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Friday.
I didn't read that portion. I was reading the highlighted portion. If I could have a moment.
Oh, you're not done now?
Sorry, I'm not seeing what you're referring to in that.
Well, you're telling the court, Your Honor, I think as far as discovery goes, we're in a fairly good position. Did you say that to the court?
I may have.
Look at lines 16, 17, and 18 of the document that's in front of you as well.
What page, Mr. Attorney?
Page 4, lines 16, 17, and 18.
Watch my.
The court asks, where are we, Ms. ADA Lally? And you say, Your Honor, I think as far as discovery goes, we're in a fairly good position. Did you say that?
Again, I'm sorry. In the transcript that you handed me, I don't see that.
Let me see. It's a different one. Do you remember? Hold on, let me get this right.
Read him his own words.
Well, they are buffering. I'm pulling up the criminal rules in Massachusetts to see if this has been overturned by statute.
Nope.
Or overturned by case law.
You're going to tell me, I was wrong, you were right. You're going to tell me there may be a couple of outstanding pieces talking about discovery that I'll check on, and some other pieces that I need to Ms. Coster about. But I think hopefully that by March 11th date, we should be able to proceed forward. Remember saying that to the court?
Do I remember saying that to the court? No.
Does reading that refresh your memory that you said it to the court?
I didn't read that portion. What page are we on?
Yes.
You can read from here over to here. To yourself, please.
Sure.
Show him, Ro. Hold his ass to the flame.
Yes, that's correct.
Does that refresh your memory? Video rally that you indicated to the court that.
This is banana.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just got a notification that JFK is live.
Okay.
Should we go peek?
Sure.
Want to go peek?
Well, he went off the last couple of nights, and with good reason. He's talking about this and the other case as well. Yeah. So
he won't. I mean, we can peek for just a little bit. We can watch on replay, but
we'll take a gander.
Yeah, technically we can't peek for too long. We need to send everybody to his live because I don't want to get a strike, and I also want to be respectful of him and James. But we can peek for a minute. Let me go.
He just went live.
Yeah,
So he starts with his intros and everything else. It takes him a couple minutes.
Right. I'll just you can keep going. I just wanted you to know, and I'll just kind of look on.
And hopefully by the March 11th date, we should be able to proceed forward. Did you say that to the court?
Well, those are two. So does it refresh my memory? No, but according to that transcript, that's what I said. Yes.
Okay. And you know at that point that there were still 6 outstanding search warrants that you didn't have?
No. Again, if I had known, then I would have gotten them and provided them.
It's crazy.
Okay. But weren't we talking about search warrants on this day?
You're talking about 2022 search warrants, which were in a subsequent notice of discovery related to a cell tower dump. You were provided all of those as far as the application, the affidavit, the return, and copies of the warrants themselves.
Where are the ones from?
So we're talking about search warrants.
Separate search warrants, yes.
Where are the ones from 2021?
And nothing rings a bell that you didn't turn over 6 search warrants?
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
So the 2022 search warrants that we talked about in court back on January 24th of 2024. At that point,
it shouldn't be parsed. Did the search warrants get turned over? Yes or no?
Mr. King was indicted?
Not all of
right?
them.
Yes.
Was Ms. Gardner indicted?
Yes.
All right. So what process did you go through to issue the 20?
That's the person. So we might not get to it, but on Friday they had there was another, which I wish that they had a Zoom or I was able to see, but they had another court date where they were talking about the proctor stuff, and it got extended to 3 weeks. And during that time, they dismissed that person's the Gardner person who was also involved in this case. They dismissed her charges. Don't know why. And as the report came out from court, they said that this person's defense attorney was surprised by it as well. So don't know what happened, but this is a person who is involved in a murder case, like defendant in a murder trial, just got dismissed. They don't know why. More information is coming out. I'm going to look into it and see if I can find some more. But that's what happens, and it's not good.
22 search warrants after indictment.
Through this court.
I'm sorry?
Through this court.
So you went to Superior Court and asked for these search warrants, is that right?
Myself personally, no.
Well, did you notify defense counsel that you were asking for search warrants in a case where a client had already been indicted?
No.
This is upsetting.
Do you know whether or not there's an obligation on behalf of the district attorney's office to notify defense counsel post-indictment if you're moving to request additional search warrants?
They weren't search warrants that were pertaining to the defendants. They were.
Do you know whether or not there is an obligation on behalf of the district attorney?
So they go back and forth.
And did you follow up specifically with Lieutenant Collins?
Yes.
And so what in your mind was outstanding on the Milton discovery that you were communicating with Lieutenant Collins regarding?
At what time?
Let's start at the beginning.
She just said it.
Again, it's the same type of information that you asked about before, as far as reports or photographs or any material that they might have pertinent to the case.
So whatever the Milton police turned over to you, would you have kept notes of that somewhere?
Yes.
Or there have been emails back and forth between you and Milton about what transpired?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any trouble getting information from the Milton Police Department?
No.
When you asked for things, did they return your email and give you what you were looking for?
Yes.
Were there any reports from the Milton Police Department that you say you didn't have before you turned the case over?
First, we offer overnight boarding. Your pet will stay overnight in your sitter's home and not only be treated like part of the family, but
over to ADA Hickman.
There was one report, yes.
And what was that report regarding?
Mr. Turner.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Turner.
And what about Mr. Turner?
There was a report in the materials that ADA Hickman turned over in 2025 that was, I believe, offered by Detective Sergeant Clifford Murphy pertaining to Mr. Turner that I had never seen before.
Okay, and do you know why that wasn't turned over by the Milton Police Department?
No.
Did you go down to the Milton Police Department and look through their files?
No.
At any point in time when you were representing the Commonwealth, in this case, did you go down to the Milton Police Department and look through their files?
No.
Is that something that you would normally do in a homicide case? Go to the police officer's office and ask for the file?
At what point in the case?
At any point.
When they're done with their part.
Typically, that would be something that I would endeavor to do closer to trial.
Why?
Closer to trial?
Yes.
So how could you make sure your obligation was satified if you're not meeting with the police until right before trial?
Right.
An ongoing duty and obligation that extends even beyond a trial.
Yep.
That's fucking it. Somebody rewrite Rule 14 then. Rewrite Rule 14. It is an ongoing discovery obligation for shit that's new. Ongoing discovery obligation doesn't mean that old shit can just get turned over whenever. It's ongoing, meaning that if you've turned over discovery and then new stuff happens, you turn over the new stuff. Ongoing doesn't mean I do it when the fuck I feel like it.
That's what it means in Massachusetts, apparently.
Turn over what you have.
This stuff hurts my brain.
And it doesn't.
It just hurts my brain because it's just so unnecessary and so egregious, and it's beyond the word annoying. Annoying is for when you have, poison ivy or a mosquito bites you. That's annoying. This stuff is literally egregious and life altering for people.
Yeah, this is now I'm at a loss for words, which is hard to believe. But yeah, this is like if I didn't live here and see like this stuff throughout. And again, it's not just Norfolk. I know what happens in Suffolk. I know what happens in Essex. It's not just the state police. It happens in other police. But like, this is the culture where it's like, yeah, just exactly what she said. I do what I want. It's ongoing. I interpret it as this. And it's not just Lau. This happened with the Brian Walsh motion to dismiss, where they argued for an hour and a half about the motion to dismiss and not talking about search warrants and the Google searches and all that stuff, and talking about something else. And the judge was shocked, like, oh, I thought we were talking about this. Okay, I hear your argument, but we should be talking about this. And then started talking about, like, oh, hey, we have this. And also we have we have the feds coming in from the Department of Justice, and we have this attorney who who's representing the Commonwealth to talk to the feds. Right. And Laura McLaughlin was basically like, yeah, I found some stuff and it might be exculpatory, but it says that I can't do it. So I'm not going to do it. And the judge said, well, if it might be exculpatory, why don't you see if you could talk to the feds? And she's like, well, it says I can't. It says I'm only allowed to talk about this part. I can only do it in this case. And she's like, yes, go talk to the feds, because this is going to be a serious issue on appeal. If there's something exculpatory and it's being withheld, and like she was like doing like what Lau did, like it says I can only talk about this. And so then on Zoom there was the attorney who was talking to the Commonwealth and was like, hey, can you talk to, like, can we make sure that this is happening so that like we can figure out to see if like, hey, if there's something exculpatory here, can we see if we can get it in somehow, like if like how you do like the legalese to make it work, because this is going to be a big issue. And but like the same thing, it's like, well, I interpret it as this, so oh well, not gonna, you know, no sweat.
Shauna just chimed in for you. That's the way we do it in Massachusetts, Mr. Jackson.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just like, yeah, exactly. That's how we do it in Massachusetts.
That was Bab's answer for just about everything.
Yep. Let's move on. Yeah,
let's roll this. Let's roll this. We're at 2:34, and I do want to shortly introduce you guys to the missing Amy Bradley, given that there's so much out there all of a sudden in the media after 27 years, before we close it tonight. So let's finish this up, and then we'll get out.
You tell me when. I mean, I'm gonna skip around some too. So
yeah,
no, you're obligated to turn over anything that gets created after that point.
Yep. Yeah.
Ongoing doesn't mean you just turn it over whenever you feel like it. That's not what the rule says. And that's not what the intention of the rule is.
And
just being like, I mean, it's ongoing, so I can turn it over whenever, is not true. The courts need to stop letting them put in evidence that they don't turn over.
Yep.
You didn't turn it over, you can't put it in. Well, Your Honor, I just got it. I don't give a fuck. The police department had it for how long? Great, you can't turn it over. Means you're going to have some real uncomfortable results on cases.
See?
And you're going to have some victims that are really let down.
There you go.
But ongoing doesn't mean I can just do it whenever. That's not what that means. An ongoing obligation, I just do it whenever. You can't go to the department the week before trial and just be like, do you have anything else? I was so baffled when video was just showing up during the Karen Reed case.
Oh, there it is.
This is how that happens. Oh, I just didn't ask. You just didn't ask. And it seems law enforcement's just like, I mean, nobody ever asked me for it. Why would I turn it over? I mean, you didn't ask. Oh my God.
Yep.
Stop letting this evidence in. Stop letting it in. The behavioral change. It's just so crazy. And I can't imagine that this is just this one attorney.
Nope, it's not. I know that for a fact.
Because if everybody in the office is like this, then here we are. I just do it before trial. That's not acceptable. I can't imagine that Norfolk County has more cases than LA County does.
And there it is.
And if it does, then you need more DAs. But you're not going to get any more DAs. You know why? Because they spent $500,000 on Brennan and $400,000 plus dollars on Aperture. And if DAs are getting paid generously $100,000 a year, maybe hire a new DA for 5 years. If you have that, if there's so much work that you can't meet discovery obligations that are constitutionally mandated and statutorily mandated and ethically mandated, then your office is understaffed. It's fine. This is fine.
She's so mad her eyes are crossing.
This is fine. And a number of you have asked, could Lally lose his job for this? No. No, he has civil service protection. No. He probably won't get reassigned. Are there any DAs in this office that are just, how is, this is not okay. This is not what's happening in other offices around the country. It's not. So if anyone's sitting there going, oh, this is how everybody, it's not, this is not how everybody does it. This is not. This is wild. And also, don't dump that shit on your colleagues. And just be like, so it becomes somebody else's fucking problem. It's just... Julia said, so basically no consequences. The court, there needs to be court consequences. And it sucks to watch a case get dismissed because of DA bad action. It sucks for the victims' families. This is a homicide case. But if the defendant's rights aren't protected and the attorneys aren't doing their job, the result is that cases get dismissed. And that absolutely sucks because the cost comes to the victims and the community.
See?
But those are what the consequences are. And there doesn't seem to be a ramping up of consequences. And this doesn't seem to be this one thing fell through the cracks. This seems to be I wouldn't even do that till trial. This seems to be the norm. Absolutely fucking bananas. If we had an officer that habitually wasn't turning over search warrants, at some point, and I had a fuck ton of bosses, at some point, my bosses would have called in the chief of police and fucking screamed at them in the office with the door open and said, we're going to start your cases.
That's what we were just talking about.
What are we doing?
A little while ago. The checks and balances would have been there from the supervisors. In well-run departments, you would have already had checks and balances from the supervisors on both ends.
Yep. She's gonna get that. It's only a couple minutes, and then we can wrap this. But like I want to hear like
yeah. No, you're good. You're good. I was just kind of giving a check.
Sorry. Okay.
This isn't fine. This isn't proper. This isn't appropriate. If everybody is just, this is how it works, it's never going to change. This is why there have to be cameras in courtrooms. Because how do you know if the DA in your county is doing a good job if you don't see shit like this? We should want people who commit heinous crimes to be punished appropriately. And we should want society to be protected. But the constitutional guarantees have to be protected. Otherwise, you end up with all kinds of horrific outcomes. When the rules are followed, people who did the thing have consequences. When the rules aren't followed, you have no idea what the fuck is happening. You can't. The rules are supposed to prevent this type of fuckery, but not if nobody enforces them. And that is on the judges. A community should feel confident that people's constitutional protections are being guaranteed. And that cases are going to go forward in a proper way, and that that their money is not going to be spent with cases getting convicted and then going up on appeal forever. Doesn't anybody care? Also, Norfolk County, you've got an election coming up in 2026. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote for somebody who's going to clean house, because it's going to take some big changes. And
that's what I said earlier. You have the control with your vote.
Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
Come here, Blub. Standing fucking ovation for that. Absolute standing ovation. I know that Emily didn't script a lick of this, and that was just from the heart. But oh my God, this whole entire thing, like, it was just summed up with that. And she goes into a little further by saying, like, hey, like make this happen. Make this like a regular thing. Like, hold their ass to the fire. Ask them exactly what Rosemary Skibicki is doing. Get up there and say, why is this? And make them go through everything. Okay, what about the stuff I did? What about the stuff they did? What about this? What about that? And then she said they need to be fined, brought in front of the board, and then they go to the victims' families and say, we had this beautiful, beautiful case, and it fell apart because I didn't follow up on emails, or I didn't think this was important. Go tell the victims' families that now the person who allegedly did all that to their loved one, who's no longer here, is now roaming free to do God knows what. This was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. God bless you, Emily D. Baker. Oh, I think you muted. Are you muted? No. Oh.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention while I was traveling, and I'm
amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad I waited to watch it with you and with all of you tonight in our friend zone. I know quite a few of the other content creators obviously covered this last week right after it happened, but
not like Emily.
Not like Emily. I mean, I just think she
did the job.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And I appreciated the back and forth banter with you on this, Julie, and with our friend zone tonight. It was really great, and appreciate that so much. So let me just give you a little, I know those of you that aren't on Twitter like it when I end our night. I'm going to give you a brief overview of why this possible 27-year missing persons case of Amy Bradley is suddenly in the limelight again. But I just want to do a little catch up here on Twitter X, because I personally took a social media break while I was at my second home. I had some heavy duty doctor's appointments, and I also got to have some fun with my friends, my high school friends, and my other personal friends like Kathy and my mom, of course, my son, my youngest son, and my sister. So it wasn't all doctor, but I did not pay a lot of attention to all the shenanigans that are going on social media. And there's a lot of shenanigans going on social media with anti-Karen Read, which they got tagged that way back during the first trial because they were so against her and seemed to hate her, even though she was just a human being like themselves, accused of a crime, innocent until proven guilty in a court of law by a jury of her peers. But this small percentage of people that chose to go on social media, mainly Twitter X, some Facebook, but most of them that are on Facebook are also on Twitter X. That seems to be where they chose, the platform they chose. Were literally just throwing hatred at Karen and her family the entire two trials. And now that they didn't get the result that they wanted or that they were paid to want, sorry, that's my opinion, they're still acting out. They're still misbehaving. They're still like trying to dox people and hurt people. And then they named the Free Karen Read side of this aisle, who also wanted justice for John O'Keefe. I haven't met or talked to or watched a single presentation, live stream, comment, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, or any of Instagram, whatever, Twitter X, who was supporting freeing Karen Read, who, number one, should have never been charged in the first place. There wasn't enough evidence. Number two, the evidence was so badly handled, and there was no securing of a crime scene to warrant an arrest of her. And then three, they didn't prove it in either trial that she did this. So everybody who was fighting for her, for Free Karen Read, and joined that movement, whether it was on the ground or on the airwaves, in the cloud, they then were labeled the pink people or the Free Karen Read people, but they were also John O'Keefe people. They're justice for John O'Keefe people just as much as all of you, that this 5% of you that are out there, which is why I've encouraged a lot of you to stop paying them attention, because the more you feed the beast, the more you go on social media and go after them and trying to engage them, it's not worth it. They're literally 5 to 10% of everybody in this world that watched that trial and paid attention to Karen Read and John O'Keefe. And so they're really not worth your time. And the little bit, I was so happy. I was so much happier when I wasn't reading all their crap and going, but I try to keep up with all their crap so that when we do Friday Night Lies, I can be in the know and I understand what's going on. So I wanted to read you, first of all, there was breaking news 4 hours ago when we first started, shortly before we first started Friday Night Lies. Federal agents have arrested a Delta Airlines pilot in the cockpit moments after the plane landed in San Francisco. The co-pilot appeared visibly shocked during the incident. Homeland Security investigations assisted in the arrest. So I'm sure we'll all hear more about that tomorrow in the media. One of the Twitter X accounts that I've been following throughout the Karen Read trial, KW Maverick, I'm assuming that's Kentucky Maverick. He says 20 hours ago, so this would have been yesterday at this point, has anyone considered what might have happened to Karen Read if she had entered the house at 34 Fairview Road on the night John O'Keefe died? And I think we've talked about that a little bit here and there. What if she had instead of just storming off basically like we think she did and going home and calling John 50 times and brooding and pouting until she finally fell asleep, what if she had just gotten out of the car and gone into the house? Would she have witnessed something going down? Would she have heard maybe not witnessed it? Maybe if it was going down in the basement, would she have heard it? Would that have changed anything? Well, we'll never know, right?
So, okay, so if we assume that the microdot story is the truth, where he walked in the house and immediately was incapacitated and, I don't know, dragged down to the basement, went to the basement, whatever the case may be, and like he was down as soon as he walked in the house. Like if we assume that to be the truth, and we assume that Karen sat in a car and prayed the rosary and listened to U2 or with the howling wind, and we're saying that, okay, if that happened, if we assume that, then if she walked up to the house and said, "Excuse me, where is everybody?" I think what would have happened is, like, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, you know, she would have met the same demise maybe because they, you know, no witnesses. But I think what I remember somebody like throwing that hypothesis up where they're saying, like, no, that wouldn't have happened. They would have called the police and they would have had a section saying, oh, she's crazy and we didn't see anything like that, so that they can kind of like dismiss her, like, yeah, she didn't see anything, nothing happened, he was never in the house, and dismiss her as crazy.
Well, the other thing too is we heard this from two different MEs that head injury was not survivable.
No, so, that put him down. That's basically what killed him.
Right. I really don't think that Karen entering the house would have changed for John O'Keefe had he lived. But what would they have done? Right. Because they obviously, the whole reason for the cover up and for them not calling the police and saying, hey, we had an accident here, was because Albert was terrified that he was going to lose his pension because he was so close to retirement. And Higgins, or if I won't name him again, we'll keep his name out of it, but the teenager at the time, if he was involved and they were covering for him because he was a teenager, there's various reasons why we believe the cover up happened. So what would have happened to her if she entered that house? I mean, we'll never know. What would panic have continued to ensue and in what way? And I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm looking in the responses and they're kind of all over the board. People are saying 50-50. She might have heard something was happening and called the police, or as far as the head injury, yep, someone's agreeing with me that I do not believe it was survivable.
No.
This person thinks John would be alive, that if she would have, but she would have had to have gone in with him for him to be alive. If she went in after him, she probably wouldn't have caught it in time.
Well, maybe. I mean, that's assuming that the microdots story, you know, chain of events is right. What we believe happened. Now, right. I personally
here's an interesting one.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Here's an interesting one. This is from Jen McCabe, Your Next account. Since the incident with John, pardon?
Oh no, just the name. I said, oh, Jesus Christ.
That's this person's Twitter handle. Jen McCabe, Your Next. Since the incident with John would have already happened, I imagine them telling Karen that the boys were just hanging out downstairs, getting her more drunk to the point she passes out, and then telling her in the morning they had no idea what happened. I mean, that's a real stretch, but I mean, I guess it's possible.
I mean, that's kind of the same like the same lines of call the police and have her sectioned and say, oh, she's crazy. She thinks that, you know, we all killed her boyfriend, but, you know, she's, you know, un pazzo, as the Italians say. But
now this person is a natural self-defense. This person says she knew that there was a problem with Higgins and J.O. Correct. We've always said that all along. And that they were probably going to fight. She wasn't oblivious to what was going on at that bar. There's no way she could have been. And we've all said that here on Friday Night Lies all along. Though she tried to appear that way. Her and J.O.'s conversation during that ride to Fairview would be telling. And we've never heard what that conversation was.
No, we just have her version of events.
Exactly. This finite bubble says if she had never backed into John's Traverse at 5:07 a.m., she would have never mentioned the ensuing cracked taillight to Jen McCabe. Without that event, would the McAlberts have cooked up a different scenario? Well, they would have had to have probably.
So that's, wait, can you read that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. If Karen Reed had never backed into John's Traverse at 5:07 a.m., she would never have mentioned the ensuing cracked taillight to Jen McCabe. Without that event, would the McAlberts have cooked up a different scenario?
Do we know that she mentioned the taillight to them?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Says who? Did Karen say that in the documentary? I have to sit down and go through all her statements.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so much information in our brains, but yeah. I'm pretty sure she mentioned it to Jen or Carrie before they ever got to the house. Remember?
Well, so that's what Jen and Carrie said on the stand, and in whatever it was. But then Karen Reed mentioned it, but somebody said that they didn't, or it was in one of the earlier interviews that they didn't realize it until like a month later. Oh, here I am with my taillight cracked. Like they're looking like, what? How did this happen? Like I know that when they got to her parents' house, they looked.
Yeah, that could be an interesting thing to talk about on one of our Friday Night Lives. Is just to try to dig into that and pull up some of that.
Oh yeah, that's yeah, like the most interesting stuff, at least like from where I'm looking at, is what happened early on the 29th.
Right.
Like what happened when she was parked out front and Officer John O'Keefe went inside, what happened when she woke up the niece, what happened when to hear Carrie's statement, Jen's statements, Karen's statements out of court, and then the niece's statements, which is a transcript. It's on WCVB Channel 5 has a transcript of what she said when she testified, just to see like, all right, who's saying what, then like piece it together, because that's interesting. But yeah,
right. Hang on, I'm just texting my mom. She thought we were done for the night, so I'm just going to tell her I'll call her back.
Oh, do you want do you want like a minute and a half? Because I have a light story or a
yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, I have the video. Can you do the video pulled up? So
yes, I can. Stand by, everybody.
Hang
on a sec. Yes, indeed.
We have all right. So summer fun. I mean, with my hard-hitting expose of Schmurder Sharks, which again, disclaimer, that's like a fun little thing that I'm trying to make a thing that when it gets cold and we're blowing snow around with leaf blowers, we can talk about Schmurder Sharks. But we do other stuff besides Schmurder Sharks. And on the North Shore, this is Revere Beach, which is just north of Boston. We have sand sculpture contest. It's a week on the beach. If you look where, let's see. They do this every single year. It's been going on for a while. And out here is the Atlantic Ocean. And the next stop, I believe, is either Spain or Portugal if you just keep going straight. So it's just all open ocean. I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's Revere Beach. It's kind of a little bit it has a reputation, let's put it that way. But they do these lovely, lovely sand sculptures. And because we talked about right here on Friday Night Lives and Social Change Warriors, we talked about Paul Revere's ride. And I saw this and said, oh, this is adorable because it's 250 years in Massachusetts this year. It'll be 250 years next year for America. But Massachusetts, it starts earlier because it started here. So they do sand sculptures, and we'll just do something. We'll just look at something nice.
Aren't those beautiful? I see those down here from time to time as well.
Kelly's on the beach. Look at that.
Wow, look at the detail on that one.
Oh, they're going to show the one that won.
Oh my gosh, that one's beautiful. The mermaid. I love the mermaid. I'll have to take some pictures when they do the one down here in Volusia County. I'll have to see when they do that. Look at that one. That's scary. It's Lally. Look.
Look, it's pure. Look at that. I mean, just look at the detail of that.
Whoa.
That's gorgeous. But yeah, look, see, and I don't know if you can see the harbor islands. This is so right out here is the approach for Boston Harbor. So all the ships that come into Boston Harbor, they come out here and they get into the shipping lanes. And the pilot boat comes in.
Did this happen this month, Julie?
This happened today.
Just today. Oh my God. I would love to see this in person.
So these are.
Yeah, you may have to.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I'd go drive. Like, so they're there right now. So, I mean, they're going to stay up. I don't think they knock these down, but they usually stay up for, like 4 or 5 days, at least a week, and then, depending on the rain and what happens, they take them down, but or they'll sweep them away. But look at that. That's the skull like that. This is the one that won, I believe. Look at that.
That's amazing.
And look how gorgeous it is. Look at how gorgeous it is out on the water.
What beach is this called, Julie?
This is Revere Beach. It has a red beach.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Revere Beach.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
That's something nice and light.
Yes, that was fantastic. Well, next Friday I'll read you guys some. There's just so much happening on. Like I said, the fractions are still arguing on Twitter X, and it's just a lot of it's just so unnecessary. It's just hateful banter going back and forth between anti-Karen Reed and then Kate Peters, Masshole Mafia. She posted some crazy thing today on X, and I forgot my password. I forgot my password, so I can't. I want to pull it up to show it to you guys, but I don't remember it's on my phone and I can't pull it up on my computer. I'll have to get my password, but
let's see.
I'll try to hold it. So what she posted.
Kat, you got to put us up.
Oh yeah, hang on a second. What she posted.
Just put you up.
I'm gonna try to hold this up to you. So she posted this crazy video of Yannetti transforming into a woman.
Oh my Christ.
Now, what the fuck is the point of that, right? How is that a good use of social media, a good use of your time, Kate Peters? I mean, seriously, right? I mean, that is just utterly stupid. I mean, it doesn't even make me laugh or smile because it's just so dumb. Now, let me read you what she writes here. This was just a day ago. Do not mock this fine lady's transition. I mean, right? And then, but she actually didn't post this. I take that back. She's commenting on Jake's son who posted this.
Yeah.
And then she says, do not mock this. She's saying to Jake's son, do not mock this fine lady's transition. So Jake's son's the one who actually...
Jesus Christ.
To the latest on that Royal Caribbean cruise heading back to New Jersey this morning after getting caught.
Now that...
To the latest on that Royal Caribbean.
And then the next one has to do with that Caribbean cruise where they were evacuating everybody. But I'm trying to understand what his point was in, again, I don't think they have a point. A lot of this nonsense. Oh God, now they did one for LOC too.
See, that one's funny.
I mean, okay. Now
that one's funny because Alessi pulls it off.
Shauna says so dumb, but when I'm watching it now the second time, I have to say they are kind of making me laugh. But it's like the rabbit hole of social media. So much that's put on social media is just a waste of our time, like a waste of our brain cells, a waste of our time. And that's why I was so happy those days that I wasn't even on Twitter X at all, that I wasn't paying attention. But there's good stuff that comes across as well. So I like to try to find the good stuff, but trying to ignore all this nonsense. But it, it's so hard because the nonsense is weaved within the good stuff. So
I know. Well, now it seems to be outweighing the good stuff, and now you have to go through all the bullshit to
right. It's just kind of nuts. So
I hate this.
So then there was another plane incident, you guys. I mean, this is getting scary. I'm glad I drove.
That was at the Denver airport too.
Yeah, I'm glad and I have had to change planes there before, and I've flown on American Airlines many times from here out to California or up home. I've taken American Airlines from here to North Carolina and then North Carolina to home. So this one really freaked me out. I mean, I'll fix it so I can sign on to Twitter so you can see it better. But this is where they're showing people getting going down the emergency slide. Somebody's actually filming these people coming down the emergency slide while the plane is on freaking fire. The landing gear caught fire, and they've got the video of people coming down this chute, and some of them fell and ended up like taking a header right into the pavement. And then of course you've got all these stupid people going on making comments about people hurting themselves going down this slide, and a lot of them had their luggage with them, which then people went but people went all crazy about that then, and they were yelling at these people for grabbing their luggage when the plane's gonna when the landing gear's on fire, and anytime there's fire or sparks with that much jet fuel, I mean that thing could have exploded at any moment.
Well,
I mean, it's just
so this thing was careening down the runway, and for whatever reason they they basically hit they call it V2, but they call it a V1 V2, which is the maximum like once you reach that speed you have to take off, because if not it's not safe to brake. And for whatever reason they basically like reached that that velocity speed, and they hit the brakes for I don't know whatever reason. I don't know if they were having issues beforehand or alarms were going off, but they hit it.
The plane hadn't even taken off. The plane hadn't even taken off. It was
So this happens more often than it doesn't. It's just that what happens is they'll abort the takeoff a lot sooner, and then they'll go back to the gate. And what happens at the gate is, because they had to do a hard braking, they'll bring out fans and they'll cool the brakes down and do a check and everything else. But this one, they braked hard. Like they probably should have taken off, but I don't know what happened. They just stopped it. And thank God they stopped, but with enough time. But yeah, they braked so hard that the brakes caught fire. And that happens often enough, but this doesn't happen. So yeah, it's scary. And then I saw right at the end of that, if you look right by the slide, it looks like, I don't know if there's an onboard fire suppression for outside, but it looks like somebody went running over, it looked like something started leaking from the plane, or somebody came over with a hose, but something came out and was like, oh shit, I hope that's not flammable. But thank God everybody's okay, because for whatever reason, times that we're on live, it seems like horrible aviation disasters happen. Like the one in January happened when we were talking about Friday Night Lies. The other one happened when we went live. So planes don't like us.
Yeah, we've been on. It's been weird. That was that Friday Night Lies back when both those two terrible things. Yeah, they happened. Boom, boom, and we were January, February, and we were live both nights when those planes crashed. That was just creepy.
Sherry D was in the chat and was like, plane just went down.
Mm-hmm. So now there's this Twitter X account called Look the Other Way, and it's an anti-Karen Reed person. I don't know who it is, because again, they're anonymous. They don't use their own pictures. They don't use their own names. But Aiden had put up a photo of him and his kids at the beach. And so that's them. And there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of people put pictures up of their kids at the beach. And this person writes, really, Turtle? Now you have your kids violating FCC guidelines?
I think that was a joke, though.
Well, I don't know.
Well, because John DePetro's in the corner that they put in the corner. Do you see on the side? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I see. I was confused. What is she talking about? But I think that people think that this account is being run by Lindsay. But who knows? Because
layers. I saw
many, I guess they call them puppet accounts. There's so many accounts that don't have the person's real name or real picture. You have no way of knowing. Now, it's one thing if you do that to protect yourself and your family. If you're interested in true crime and you want to be involved in these cases on a Twitter, X, Facebook level, social media level, you want to be in the chat box on lives, and you don't want us to know your real name because you're protecting yourself, your kids, that's different. But when you're using it to be nasty on purpose and to act in nefarious, then that's a problem. I mean, I don't have a problem with anybody being discreet and not using their own photo and their own name if they're just being a good person and making decent comments in the chats and staying friendly and kind to everyone. But when you're constantly trying to dox people, put them down, shame them, and you're using a fake account with a fake picture, then that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. So, well, there's so much going on out there with the bickering back and forth. But I want to remind all you guys of one thing. When I decided to start live streaming, it was because I had already been following a lot of these cases, and I'd already been doing pre-recorded social work with other social workers that I either instructed at USC or I went to USC with for my master's. Social Change Warriors was originally founded by me back in 2019. So I was doing this type of volunteer work in my own lane, in my own way before I started live streaming. I got interested in live streaming because I really wanted to try to have a voice and to advocate for victims of domestic violence. So that's how it started for me, was with Ellen Greenberg, Sandra Birchmore, Suzanne Morphew, then Suzanne Clark Simpson came later. Now we've learned of others. Obviously, we've learned of Sarah Ebersol and other cases of domestic violence. And then because of other people seeing me on social media or coming to our lives, I've been contacted by families, and I'm now working on other cases with families. But I always try to get permission before I advocate. That's my first step, is I want to get permission from the family member, any family member or their attorney or their private investigator, before I actually start showing their photos and talking about their cases and opining, as we've been doing on many of these cases like Ellen Greenberg and Suzanne Morphew and Suzanne Clark Simpson, where we've opined on the evidence, we've read the police reports, we've looked at the autopsies. We ourselves have said, we believe that these 3 women were unalived by their husbands, and this is why we believe this. I want permission from the families before I start talking about their loved one. Now, if I can't get it, then I tend to try to stick to what's already been put out there by the media. I don't try to do too much of my own opinion or dig too deep into the autopsy or the police reports, because I just don't feel that's my job, and I don't want to hurt the family or hurt the integrity of their case in any way. So having their permission for me makes me just feel more credible. So I was able to contact Ellen Greenberg's family via email and get their permission. I was able to contact a family member on Facebook through Facebook Messenger for some of our other victims. As you know, I've met in person Miss Sarah's sister, and I've met in person Jason's wife. And so now I'm about to meet in person tomorrow. Our newest person we're advocating for is the missing young man out of Davie, Florida, Hunter. So that's my first preference, is to always get permission, have some type of contact with the family. I don't have to become best friends with them or be included in their parties or invited to their their standouts, even though I have gone to some of one of Sarah Ebersol's standouts with her sister. And I appreciated that so much, being invited to do that. But I don't have to do that. But I do like the permission element. Now, I have noticed in the past weeks that there was some issue regarding a live streamer and the family not wanting them to live stream for them anymore. And that can happen. And if that happens, you just got to take it and say, okay, I'm sorry. I appreciate that. If I did anything to offend you, I'm sorry. Tell them you're sorry. And if they still don't want you to live stream for them, then you don't live stream for them. You just don't. I mean, that's how it is. You don't do something the family doesn't want you to do. If the family says, thank you for what you've done, but you've done everything you can do for us, and we would just prefer you don't mention, our family member anymore in your lives, then you don't do it. It's simple as that. I mean, if Ellen Greenberg's family asked me not to live stream about her anymore, I'm not going to live stream about her anymore. I'll continue to think about her. I'll continue to follow her case. But first of all, we're not monetized. So we're not gaining anything from you being here other than friends. You are our friend zone. You are our compadres now in the fight against corruption, police, government corruption. You are our compadres in advocacy for those that have been unalived by the hands of someone else. But we are not monetized. I am not collecting a salary. All these other live streamers that we've all gotten to know through the John O'Keefe, Karen Reed case and many other cases that are out there, they're all making money, guys, and they're not making small money. I mean, if you want to look at the super chats that some of these live streams are getting and the volume that's coming off their pages based on their past and what they feel they have to offer to you as a live streamer, it's a lot of money. I mean, they're doing this as a full-time job, and they have every right to do that as long as they're being above board and they're working with the families in the best of faith. I have no problem with how much money they make. We all have to survive and live. And if they have now given up their careers to become a content creator and cover true crime for you, and you like them and you feel they're respectable and their credentials meet your expectations, then sure, give them whatever you want to give them. I've donated in the live streams. I've super chatted. But remember that they're all making money. We're not making money here. Julie and I'm volunteering on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Julie's here on Fridays with us, and some Sundays. We're volunteers. We're doing this out of the goodness of our heart. So I feel like in that case, I can be a little more critical of some of these live streamers because I'm not monetized, and I would never continue to air a case or to cover a case or live stream a case if a family member asked me to stop. So for those of you out there that have been contacted by family members and they no longer want you to live stream about their deceased family member, then stop it. It's simple. They've asked you in a polite way, I'm sure. And of course, do you have to stop? No, because I'm assuming most of these cases are in the media. They're open records law for the ones that are closed. They're redacted open records law for police reports that you may be able to get on cases that are still open, but they're going to be redacted. Like Sarah Ebersol has a 400 plus page police reports now, and all I was ever given was 31 pages redacted, and even those were redacted. But you can keep doing it, but it's certainly not very moral or ethical, in my opinion. Now, I have never received any permission from Suzanne Clark Simpson's family because I've never been able to find a proper email contact. But I have stayed very careful with that case because I have never reached the family. Do I have to have permission from a family? No. Her case is in the media. I can show media reports. I can show what we're finding out from what's being released from the court and the police, and interviews that her family have done with much bigger content creators than us. I don't have to have permission, but I like to get it. It's my first and foremost thing I like to do. But I still want to advocate for Suzanne Clark Simpson. So I'll continue to do that, but I'll do it in the most respectful way. And until I can actually get permission, I may not go as deep on that case as I will the ones where I have permission, if that makes any sense to all of you that are live. So content creator, if you've been told not to live stream about a particular person and their untimely death by their family, then you shouldn't be doing that anymore. And I know you know who you are, and you don't like me, and that's fine with me because I don't need to like you either. I don't know why you don't like me. I've never done anything against you, but you've made very nasty comments about me on Twitter X. So stop it, as Turtle says. And I do like it when he says that, because sometimes that's what we need to say to people. Stop it. There.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of do a quick follow up and say this. If you, okay, all right, well, I want right disclaimer. We are in the United States of America, good old USA. We are a capitalist society. We also have the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom of, well, not everything, but you know the point. We can come on here and we can voice our opinions and we can, make money, make it a business, whatever the case may be. So we do have that right. You do have that God-given right as an American to do that. Again, capitalist society, you want to do that, you have that right.
Right.
Just because you have a right to do something doesn't mean that it is the right thing to do. And if the family of a murder victim or missing victim, or just a family of of a victim of a crime, or even not a crime, just victim of like a medium crime, just any type of victim, tells you, hey, would you mind like not doing XYZ? And you continue to do that because, again, you're right. In my opinion, you are a shitbag. And that's my time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, thank you. So we'll kind of I'll follow up on that a little bit. I'm curious to see what happens with that. But the grieving family have lost a member of their family. They are number one in consideration at all times, always, no matter what. No matter if you don't agree with them based on, like John O'Keefe's family, great example. 85% of us did not think Karen Reed should have been arrested or should have been convicted, or that she even did hit John O'Keefe with her car. But the family, for whatever reasons they have, they believe that she did. They still have to be respected. They still have to be treated with ultimate empathy, because they have lost a loved one who they're never going to see again. And there's no worse pain than losing a loved one. Most of us have all lost a loved one to natural causes, or maybe even an accident like my dear grandfather. But most of us have never lost a loved one due to schmurder, unaliving, or unaliving of themselves, if that is what the case happens. And especially the most egregious of all, a framed unaliving, like what happened with Ellen Greenberg and Sandra Birchmore. The audacity to frame that person for their own unaliving is like even a higher level of egregious. And the families deserve the utmost respect, no matter what, all the time. So I just want to quickly bring up before we close tonight, and we'll speak on this more next week. I remember when this happened. I remember in 98 when this happened, because for me personally, of my life, that wasn't that long ago. I had just become a police officer. So I remember, in fact, did she go missing in March? Let me take a peek here. So this is Amy Bradley. And when she was 23 years old, she went on a cruise with her family. And this is really eerie to me for so many reasons. First of all, I was a brand new police officer. Second of all, in 2012, a really good friend of mine won a trip on a cruise through his work, which is exactly what happened with her dad. Her dad won this cruise through his work for doing good work, obviously, and he was allowed to bring his wife. Well, they were able to convince them that they could bring their kids along, which is how her and her brother even got on this cruise in the first place. I was invited on a cruise by my friend who won it at his work because he wasn't dating anyone at the time. His daughter was too young to go on this type of a cruise. Well, it was an adults cruise, and the cruise was for all these people who won the award. So they're going to be like a big awards ceremony on the cruise, and it was going to be fancy dinners and adult type stuff, not kid stuff. So he asked me if I wanted to go because he knew I'd never been on a cruise. So I was just thrilled to get to go. And it was the same cruise line that Amy Bradley and her family were on. I was on a different ship, but it was the same cruise line, which is really very eerie to me. And Which one? It was the now I'm going to lose it off the top of my head. It was the Royal Caribbean.
Okay.
It's a huge cruise line, and all of their ships are ginormous. And their newest ship that I was on back in 2012 was like 9 stories high. And when we pulled into to one of the ports that we were at, one of the first ports, all the other ships that were huge ships looked like Tinker Toys next to our ship. It was so eerie when I actually got off the ship and walked ashore and looked back at my ship compared to the other ships, like I said, that were still big ships. They look tiny. They look like Tinker Toys. So the Royal Caribbean has a massive fleet. Their ships are huge. They have ice skating rinks on board, water slides, everything you can imagine, theaters. I mean, they're amazing ships. So that's the ship that her and her family, this is a ship they were on. So they were having, just what you would expect, a normal fun time on the ship. And 2 days into this journey, she had somehow gotten to know the band that was playing, the members of the band. And now I forgot the name of the band, but we'll talk about this more next week because I'd like to go over it in more detail. And the name of the lead singer was Yellow. And so she had kind of gotten to know him a little bit, and they had been friendly and chit-chatting supposedly. And her and her brother had been out very late that night, well into the morning hours of like 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, watching this band, dancing, clubbing, doing what 21 and 23-year-olds do. And I guess they had quite a bit to drink. And then they went back to the cabin where they were staying with their parents. They were sleeping on like a pull-out bed situation because they only were allowed to have one cabin. And her and her brother were sitting on the patio of this cabin. They had their own little patio that had 2 chairs on it, lawn chair type things. And they were there visiting and chatting. Well, then brother got tired, her brother Brad, this is all, I'm reiterating what he said in a couple interviews I watched this week. He got tired, went to lay down, and she stayed out there. Well, then her father, I guess, woke up at like 5:30 a.m., saw like her legs and half her torso. He didn't see all of her, but he saw enough of her that he knew it was her and that she was appeared to be asleep on this Chase lounge. And so he didn't want to wake her. It was 5:30 a.m. And then he fell back asleep. Well, I guess an hour, maybe a half an hour later, 45 minutes, he wakes again and she's not there. So he's a little alarmed by that because it's still now only obviously 6:15 a.m. approximately, wondering where did my daughter go at 6:15 a.m. And so he wakes up Brad, the brother, and says, hey, have you seen your sister? And he's, no, I'm just waking up. So they start looking for her. So they just go to see, maybe she's out taking photos. She was into photography. Maybe she was hungry and went to breakfast early. So they're out on the ship looking for her. Well, they don't find her. And so then at some point they go to, you know, the cruise director or whoever you would go to report that she wasn't in her room. They don't know where she is. They can't find her on the ship. So this mini search ensues. Well, during this time, the ship is coming into port. So it's not out in the middle of the ocean. And so they're obviously initially concerned that if she was drunk, that she fell over, that she fell in. And, but there was no real evidence of that on the patio of this the cabin of the family that she did fall in. And they searched. They did eventually do a search of the water all surrounding the ship. And again, remember, it was docked, so it wasn't out in the middle of the ocean. And there was sounds like a lot of mistakes made early on in this case, where they allowed the passengers to get off the ship and go do their thing at port, which to me was an egregious mistake, because if she was kidnapped and being held somewhere on that big giant ship, which is very possible, then she's no longer going to be on that ship. If you let all those people get off and go into port and she's been kidnapped by someone on board, they're going off with her, right? So that was very concerning to me, that they allowed anybody to leave that ship when you have a missing person. And I guess the staff of the ship that they were dealing with at the time was very nonchalant, almost like, oh, you know, we can't let one missing passenger ruin this vacation for thousands and thousands of our passengers, which sounds very cold, but that was kind of how Brad described it in several of the interviews I saw that he had in the last couple of weeks. So it sounds like they made a very colossal mistake. And then the family, I believe, got off the ship as well and were looking for her at port, just walking around, trying to see if they could see her. And then at some point, they got back on the ship, and then the FBI was brought in and an investigation was done. And Yellow was a suspect because people had seen her partying with him, and someone had seen her in an elevator with him. I guess one of the glass elevators that you can see through. Someone had seen her with him at like 5:45 in the morning. So he actually even agreed to take a lie detector test way back in the early phases of this investigation. So sadly, everybody was interviewed, witnesses, and she wasn't found. And then time started going by, and then there were some reports of people thinking they saw her on various islands. And then it gets even, deeper. Someone in the military claims that he was at a brothel, for lack of an old school word for a house where ladies of the night stay, and people go and pay money to stay there with these ladies of the night in these brothels. And he was in the military and wasn't supposed to be going to said brothel. So didn't tell anybody right away that there was a woman there that was named Jazz or Jazzy or something to that effect. And that he thinks that it was her, that it was Amy, that he swears it looked just like her. And so that is the picture that's been circulating now, is this very kind of grainy photo that would have been taken back in 1999, 2000, shortly after she went missing. And people, and including her family, started to speculate that she was kidnapped off the ship and trafficked, because this happens in this area of the country. It happens all over the country, but it happens in these islands, and that it's possible that someone on the ship was, obviously someone would have had to have been involved who was on the ship.
Oh, of course.
Right, of course. But this is a photo that they believe that this was possibly her in 99 or 2000. and that she was being forced to work as a sex worker, sex worker in on these islands, and that they were transporting this group of women from island to island to island. Now, this is kind of creepy and eerie. Oh, MCAT says I'm back.
I know. I just saw that.
We're going longer than we expected, MCAT, but why not? It's Sunday Night Lies tonight. So the brothel, believe it or not, burnt down. Right? So you've got this, huge investigation into the disappearance of an American, and then this possibility of a sighting that wasn't reported right away because this serviceman was worried about his military career and concerned about getting, kicked out of the military. Yes, it is awful, MCAT. And so it's just, I feel horrible for the family. Like, there's a lot of people that have speculated through the years that what a lot of people in the Karen Reed case were talking about, where maybe it's just the very simplest explanation is right, that Karen did hit John with her car, and that this poor woman was drunk, and that somehow she fell overboard and they just didn't find her body. A lot of people believe that she is dead, that she's always been dead, that she was really drunk and accidentally fell over that morning. But a lot of people, including her family, don't believe that they feel that that she was afraid of heights, number one. So she didn't even want to go on this cruise because she was afraid of heights. And you know how tall these ships are. And when you're on the balconies and you're walking around, how high up off the water you are. But she wasn't afraid of water. She had been a lifeguard. She was a swimmer. But according to her brother, she didn't love the ocean. She didn't like to swim in the ocean because she didn't know what was in there. A lot of people don't like to swim in the ocean because they can't see, enough of what's under there and feel safe to be in there. But
murder sharks. That's why.
Because of schmurder schmarks. That's right. So they didn't really feel that because of her fear of heights that she would have ever put herself that close to the railing to cause herself to fall over. Now, if she was still drunk at 5:30 after her dad saw her laying on this Chase lounge, could she have woken up at like 5:45, 6 o'clock? Could she have stumbled somehow and fell over? Possibly. But a witness saw her in an elevator with yellow at 5:45. So how did she fall off the balcony of her own parents' cabin between when her dad saw her and when her dad woke up again at 6:15, right? Things aren't adding up. The 1 + 2 factor isn't working here. So I'm kind of siding with I don't know a lot about this case. I haven't looked into it for years. Like I said, I was a brand new police officer when this happened, but I am going to dig deeper into the past on this. We'll do a live on this because it's sad. And now for whatever reason, I still haven't figured out why everybody and every content creator has now hopped on this, including our own Mike Crawford. He had Brad on his show last Wednesday. I didn't see it. I was traveling and I haven't watched it at all, but, there was a Netflix documentary. So let me share my screen here with you guys to kind of close out our night so we know a little bit more about what happened to what people believe happened to Amy Bradley. So there's been, let me see. Can you see that, Julie?
Yes. Yep.
So there's been there was a lot in the past. There was a Netflix documentary that was presented about her. Kim Kardashian is now making desperate pleas after Netflix. I mean, the stars are coming out of the woodwork on this. Articles are being written all over the place. People.com one day ago, NJ.com. I think is that New Jersey?
NJ.com?
Yeah, what is NJ.com? Never even heard of that.
I know NJ.gov is New Jersey.
Right. NJ.com, I'm not sure. The Tab, I've never heard of that. The 5 huge details Amy Bradley is missing on Netflix, missed out on the case. I've heard people saying that a recent interview he did with a young woman from, I think it was Channel 6 out of Virginia, was much better at getting him to answer questions and answered a lot of things that the Netflix missed. So, I mean, there's a lot to understand and know about this. So that's on Netflix. And then FBI.gov has a page on her as well. So Amy Lynn Bradley, and this was a picture of her on board the ship. And this is her missing flyer. You can download this poster if you're interested and you, for whatever reason, and you do want to share it. So let's just see what this has to say.
This is Amy Lynn Bradley. The talented basketball player and college graduate disappeared while on a family vacation when she was just 23 years old. It happened on a Royal Caribbean International cruise liner Rhapsody of the Seas somewhere between Aruba and Curacao, Netherlands, Antilles. Special Agent Aaron Sheridan says just a few days into the trip, on March 23, 1998, Amy and her brother had a night out.
So that evening, Amy was out at the disco with her brother, other passengers and crew, socializing and having a great time. In the morning, when her parents and her brother woke, Amy was gone.
Amy's brother Brad was the last family member to see her.
Myself and my parents have had to endure a lot of sadness, but the last thing that I ever said to Amy was I love you before I went to sleep that night. Knowing that that's the last thing I said to her has always been very comforting to me.
Investigators say so many details of Amy's night out remains a mystery. A reward of up to $25,000 is available for information leading to the resolution of Amy's case.
If you have any information, whether it be that you are a passenger or a crew member, we ask that you come forward. The smallest detail could assist us in finding out what happened to Amy.
These are age-progressed photographs of what Amy could look like today. Amy has several tattoos, including a sun, a gecko lizard, and a Tasmanian devil spinning a basketball. Report tips to your local FBI office, nearest American embassy or consulate. You can also send information to tips.fbi.gov. Tips can be anonymous. With Wanted by the FBI, I'm Molly Halpern of the Bureau.
So I'll put together something a little bit more with more information for all of you for next week, because I'm interested in why this is coming back around. I mean, I'm sure people locally, her friends and family and everyone. I mean, according to her brother, not a day has gone by that her mom has not worked on her case, and so. Very much like Ellen Greenberg. Not a day went by, I don't believe. And I hope that the Greenbergs took some time away at times to rest or to visit family. This family that I'm just meeting tomorrow, Hunter's family, they just had to take a break and they took some time away because you have to, or you're going to go down the tubes yourself. You're going to exhaust yourself. There's going to be so much stress in your body working on every day on the case of your child that you won't make it. You could end up, crashing and burning yourself. So, but it sounds like, according to what Bradley said in his interviews, her brother, that her parents, especially the mother, has literally worked on Amy's case tirelessly every day for 27 years. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. And so they obviously truly believe that something very horrible and nefarious happened to their daughter on that cruise ship, that it wasn't just, as we know, people fall off of cruise ships. It's hard to even fathom to me, and it makes me feel sick to my stomach when I see it or hear the news of somebody falling off a cruise ship. It's just horrifying, but it does happen. So it is still possible that is what happened to her, but they just don't believe that. The family just doesn't believe it. So I feel like, because we're an advocacy channel, I'd like to look into this to see if there is any truth to the possibility of this band and maybe some of the crew being in on targeting her and deciding that she was somebody that they could utilize and put in or sell into a sex trafficking situation. So it's just horrible. Hello puppy. Hello, Julie's puppy. My puppy is crashed. The grand puppy is crashed. We've exhausted everyone tonight on our special edition of Friday Night Lies. I want to thank you all for joining us so we could finish up what we started on Friday night. And we'll have some more interesting conversations for you next Friday Night Lies. And I'll let you say something here too, Julie. I will be back this week, Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm working on the content. I have 2 streams up already for Wednesday and Thursday, but I might switch them around, or I might combine them and then add something to Thursday. I'm still working on all that. So I will live stream Wednesday, Thursday next week. And I'll let you know the content and reorganize the live stream thumbnails as soon as I can. And then next Friday Night Lies will be back as well with whatever content Julie and I can pull up from whatever's going to go on this next week in the world of John O'Keefe, Justice for John O'Keefe, and any other cases that we are following.
Yeah, so it's coming. So for next week, I mean, oh God, we say this every single week, like, oh, it should be slowing down, but it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. So we have the Brian Walsh, the motion to dismiss came out, and the motion to suppress came out, and I thought that she dismissed. I thought that she didn't allow anything, but she allowed some of the stuff to be suppressed, and I'm gonna have to look at that. So I know Melanie went over it. I know she got all hot and bothered over, like, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But like, it seems, like, to me, just looking at it, it seems like somebody might have made a deal, like, all right, we can't let this alleged person go free, so let's kind of finagle a bagel. But we'll get into it. And then that Friday, next Friday, they're going to be in court again to follow up on and then all the stuff with the federal stuff, with the Proctor stuff and the suppression. But when it comes to the Amy case that you just talked about, if you'd like, and I haven't, well, I mean, I just found out about this, but if you'd like, and she'll most likely say yes, we just have to figure something out. I have a friend of mine who works on cruise ships as a musician. Now, this wasn't 1998. This was a lot more recent, but has been working on them for some time. So she knows the comings and goings, and the cruise quarters and what things look like, and if there are incidents where because again, people go overboard and fall a lot more often than you suspect, and like and what happens if somebody like, for example, like, kids go missing all the time, and if there are lockdown drills, and like what happens when you're at port, what happened. Like, I know that she went through the whole rigmarole where she's like, oh, well, if you want not deplane, if you want to de-ship, you have to go through this whole entire process because you're going through customs, and you have to go through like ship security, and then the country, like the port security, and then security, and this and that. Like, you have to go through like all these steps. Now, this is pre 9/11, and 9/11 happened in our country, the USA. So I don't know what it's like in other countries, but like, she can come on and just talk about like, hey, what's life like on this, and is this feasible? Like what's your take on this? Yeah, she's a musician. She's not really into the whole like true crime stuff, but like, just to get her approach of like, hey, this is what happens on the ship. This is what happens when you come on. This is what happens here. This is what happens there. So, I mean, I've asked her to come on this a platform just to talk about like, hey, you live in Boston and Karen Reed stuff. Go. So.
No, that'd be great. You definitely invite her. That would be great.
I mean, that might have to be like that might have to be like another day because again, she's a musician. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, she's booked. So like, if it's like a Wednesday or Thursday or like, even if you want to do like something like pre-recorded or whatever the case may be, like, like if that's something that you guys are interested in, or you just want to get out there,
let me know. We can always do a pre-recorded and then show it during a live. That's always possible. So that sounds good. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, good. So we'll definitely, see you all next week. Like I said, I was off for a long time with my traveling, and then 4th of July. So I'll be back next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with various topics regarding all of the victims and their families that we've been advocating for and standing for. And I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. There was one more thing I was going to tell you, and it was just there it was on the tip of my tongue, and now I've lost it because we've been going for 3 hours and 41 minutes. Darn it all, Julie. What was I going to remind everybody about or talk about?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a second. We were talking about, I know you want to talk about that, and I know you want to talk about, shit. Let's see. Don't be a shitbag.
It's right on the tip of my tongue too, and I wanted to tell everybody, and it's going to irritate the crap out of me now.
Did it have to do with Massachusetts? Let's see if we can narrow it down.
Shauna says I'm crashy too. Yeah. I actually had to take a power nap today because I'm still recovering from that long journey from Wisconsin.
Well, that's because you've been everywhere. You've been everywhere, man.
Yeah. Like Shauna calls me the traveling cat. I love that. So I'll think about it. If I think about it, I'll just write it down and tell you about it on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday of next week. But it'll come to me at some point. But I appreciate all of you for joining us. Thank you so much. And we will continue to advocate for victims of homicide and their families, to get justice for them. and pray for them for their safe return, for those that are missing, and for those that are already deceased. My life matters. Always remember that. That's what they're telling us from afar. They're asking us to continue to advocate for them so they can get justice, so the person who unalived them or whatever needs to be done to that person, regardless of what state they're in, or depending on what state they're in, what they're going to face. Is it going to be jail time, or is it going to be death penalty? Most of you know I am not a fan of the death penalty. I just don't like it. That's just my personal thoughts and opinions, so I don't really talk about it too much. But I know there are states where that is still on the table. But we just want justice, however that looks, for the families, so that the families can get some type. There'll never be closure. When you lose a loved one, whether it's by natural means or accident or homicide, the word, the schmurder word, there is no such thing as closure. For people out there that like to use that word and talk about it, I can tell you, I've been through tragedy. There is no closure. There's just the new normal that you have to live on, because that is what you have to do. You have to live on. And so you have to find a way to help that make sense for you and to live your best life that you can, because your person would want that for you. But there truly is no closure. And but justice helps a little bit, right? When the person is out there living free, living their best life, because police malfeasance or police corruption, government corruption, shoddy police work, that is extra pain for the family. They're already in pain. They're already trying to live a new life, a new normal without their loved one. And now they get this crap piled on them from a bad police investigation and dirty cops and dirty government. So we are against that here. We're advocating for the families. We'll continue to do that. Thanks to all of our subscribers, our friends in the friend zone tonight, for all your amazing comments. I appreciate you all so much, and looking forward to being back with you all again next week. So guess what? It's 27 days till college football season and a little more for pro football season. My favorite time of the year, and I know many of yours as well, because we do talk about sports a little bit on our channel. So thanks again, everybody. My life mattered, just us. We'll see you all next week. And thank you to our very own Boston Jewel, Julie, the craziest person on earth, for all of her amazing content that she helps with on Friday nights and tonight, and keeping us up on everything Massachusetts. Thank you so much, Julie.
No, again, thank you. And we'll say good night, everybody. And what, if anything, is Lally going to do or say next week? Tune in.
Or anybody involved in the Justice for John O'Keefe, Karen Reed case.
Lally's up next on the 5th. So August 5th, there's a lot going on. And August 5th is when what we just saw continues. Lal goes back on the stand, and Tully goes on the stand, and Proctor goes on the stand. So we shall see.
Oh, boy. This is going to be crazy town, guys. Crazy town. But in the meantime, I hope that maybe
stay tuned.
Every week, I hope that something's going to break, that we're going to find out what really happened to John O'Keefe. I hope that every day I get up that, okay, please let something break today. And that's all we can do, is just keep advocating for justice for John O'Keefe, and be grateful that a jury of her peers found Karen not guilty. Because regardless, if by some miracle, because it would have to be a miracle that he died of injuries being hit by that car, because science doesn't agree, ME doesn't agree. But if that did happen by some weird miracle, there wasn't enough evidence. They did a shoddy police investigation, and they did not prove their case. So
they did a shit job investigating it from the jump.
She absolutely,
that's upsetting.
Right. She absolutely deserves to be free. And I hope she gets to live her best life going forward. And I hope the best for her family. And I guess we'll see what happens with this civil case too. There's a lot more to come on that on Friday Night Lies as well. So again, thank you, everybody. Good night. Please take care of yourselves and have a good next few days before we see you again next Wednesday. Good night. Thank you so much.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring. They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. calling out corruption. We'll stand tall for justice and truth. We'll risk it all. My